Coming to you live from George Finnie Stadium on the campus of Baldwin Wallace University. Welcome inside our coverage of the Yellow Jackets football team as they take on the Capital Crusaders in Week 8 of the regular season. It's the second to last home game of the year and a big one for the Yellow Jackets, who are trying to respond after last weekend's disappointing loss down at Otterbein. Along with Nick Rizzo, I'm Brendan Gulick. Really excited for today's game because on paper it certainly looks like BW could have the kind of game where they can get in a rhythm. Capital has been susceptible to the domino effect this year, where teams jump on them early and then it's just kind of spiraled out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that kind of fits into our offense so far this year. We're a big hitting team, so we'll get that 45-yard, 50-yard touchdown. And if we can get a couple of those in the first quarter, I think we'll be in good position that they'll roll over and we can finish out a good game.
Well, the Yellow Jackets have had some fun watching guys like Jordan Leverett especially on those big quick hit plays. Oftentimes they come early in the series. It's not like you have 3 or 4 plays that work okay and then they go over the top. Sometimes it's a pass deep down the field right away. Although I think fair to point out that the weather stinks today. It is 38 degrees, it's freezing cold, it's breezy. We're going to be fighting rain on and off throughout the course of the game. This could be an interesting affair.
Yeah, I think ball control in the trenches is really going to come down to it. You're going to execute in the trenches. You know, you're going to have some drop passes today just because of the weather. The ball is not going to travel very well. So to be able to stay on the ground, execute your blocks up front, and just hold on to the ball is going to be a key to that.
Capital, one of the better passing teams, not just in the conference, but the country. They've got a young man named Thomas Wibbler, who's their quarterback, and he's a transfer to Capital, and he's really done a nice job. He's, in fact, only 24 yards away from hitting the 2,000-yard mark already this season, on pace to throw for almost 30 touchdowns next to just 10 interceptions. He is easily their most potent weapon offensively, and their running game is really lacking.
Yeah, I feel like this is strength for strength and weakness for weakness. The BW's rush defense is not very good this year, and neither is Capital's rush offense. But our pass defense matches up with some of the best in the conference. We have a veteran secondary, a couple seniors back there, between Trip Washington, Gary Sparrow. Ty Fields is an upperclassman as well. So I feel like it's best versus best today and worst versus worst, so it should fit well.
Could be fun, and again, not sure how the weather will impact the game, but as you'll hear from Jim Hilbert momentarily, he really wants BW to go out there and play with an extra sense of urgency and really play as though they want it more. Without further ado, let's check in with Jim Hilbert, who visited with us yesterday prior to today's game. He's excited about his team's opportunity to come to town for a Saturday afternoon showdown with the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets, and we visit pregame with head coach Jim Hilbert. Hard to believe that we're already at the point in the season now where it's officially the home stretch. It's been, in some regards, it's been kind of a pretty fast fall.
It's gone by really fast. Like I said, I can't believe it's the 8th game of the season. I can't believe Halloween's next Tuesday. It's gone by really, really fast. And, you know, like I said, we have 2 home games here. So we play Capital and we play Heidelberg, 2 tough opponents. And, you know, I think we need to learn a lot from last week's game against Otterbein. It was had some opportunities to win that game. And I told the guys, you know, you can't cheat the process. And last week, our practice was inconsistent. That's kind of how we played Saturday. It was very inconsistent. And had opportunities to still win that game. Did not do it. We need to make sure we bounce back from that. And obviously tomorrow is supposed to be a rainy, cold day. I really think it's going to come down to what team who really wants to be out there to play some football. And you know, I told the guys today, from start to finish, we got to go out and play extremely hard. Like I said, play 60 minutes. We have not put 60 minutes of BW football together. We need to start doing that and not hurt ourselves. It's all about us. It was about us last week. Had opportunities from penalties to a drop touchdown to missed assignments on defense, you know, letting Otterbein run the football, to missed tackles, to a penalty or a sack. I mean, through and through, guys made mistakes. And we got to make sure we don't let those happen for this week. And if we can put that all together, we could be a really dangerous team. And last week was a perfect example. Like I said, I think fourth quarter, 5 minutes, 5 for 5 minutes, we put up like 17 points in a row. And we have it in us. It's just a matter of having that focus for 60 minutes and not killing ourselves.
How impressed or pleased are you with the growth of this team over the last month or so? Because I know it was kind of a slow start to the year, but the last several games, it seems like things are moving in the right direction.
It does at times. Like I said, it feels like it, and we talk to the kids about it, like we take a couple steps forward and then we take a couple steps back. And I feel like we're still doing that at points. Like Martin Muskegee, I feel like we take some steps forward and then we take some steps back. Same way this game. We take some steps forward and take some steps back. And it's just about being consistent all the time and being tougher, to be honest with you. We got to be able to handle some adversity. Like I said, and be a tougher, physically and mentally tougher team. And if we can start generating that and being more physical all the time, I think we can be a good football program and a good football team.
How about unique to the Capital Crusaders this weekend? They're a team that, they've 6, but they've been in some of the games they've played. What do you like about
that? Oh, definitely. They can sling it around. Their quarterback, Tom Weebler, can sling it around. And he has some good receivers. He has 3 guys that he throws the ball to. Number 15 is one of their top receivers. His name is David Barnett. Number 3 and number 19. Those guys are good players. I think they're averaging like 285 yards in the air. We got to make sure we stop the run first, and we got to make sure we put pressure on him. But the guy can throw it around, and we got to make sure we cover guys and do a great job in pass coverage. And if we can do that, then obviously they're going to get someplace, but make sure they earn everything they get. Don't let up the big play. I think we have a good shot at winning the game. And offensively, I said, don't turn the ball over. When we have opportunities to make big plays, game-turn plays, make sure we make those. And be solid up front. Don't give up sacks or get behind the chains. Make sure we're able to be consistent. Get us in second and mediums, third and short, third and medium, and then be able to sustain drives and make big plays. And there's times we're able to do that, but we got to be able to put it together all the way throughout 60 minutes.
One of the things that I think is unique about Capital's situation is that they, over the last couple of years, have kind of changed their offensive philosophy. This has been a triple option team for several years. At times they had some success, but it wasn't as successful, I think, as they hoped. And so now they've kind of gone away from that. How difficult is it for a team to change philosophies like that so drastically?
Oh, I think the big thing is just a quarterback that can throw it around. And obviously their quarterback now, who's a transfer from ODU, can sling it around. He can throw the football. The very accurate quarterback. And they have some receivers. I know obviously it's tougher maybe when you have some guys that may be more running back type guys, but they have some receivers that can throw the football. And it's just a matter, too, pass protection. I think sometimes instead of going forward all the time in the run game, now you're expecting guys to go back. Pass block, I think it's a little bit more difficult. But their guys do a good job. And their quarterback does a great job when he feels pressure about still getting rid of the ball and doesn't give up sacks.
I don't want to make too much out of nothing, but I think it is fair to at least bring up, because you mentioned it earlier, the weather tomorrow is not supposed to be good. And you've been fortunate this year to play in good weather each week. How much has, to tomorrow's inclement predicted weather kind of been a stress in leading up to this?
I just told him the last 2 days, it's going to come down to who wants to be out there and wants to play football. Who wants to be out there and wants to get better? Who like I said, because it's going to come down to who wants to be out there and wants to obviously get after it from the time it starts to the time it finishes, and guys that do not. And if we go out there with some purpose and some resolve and some heart and play the way we can, I think we can come out with a victory tomorrow.
Looking forward to it. Can't believe there's only 3 games left in the year, but hope the Jackets can put it together nicely against Capital. Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, more when we return on BWYellowJackets.com. Well, in fact, we'll keep it here before taking a break, as the Yellow Jackets and Crusaders captains have taken the field for our coin toss here this afternoon. And it should be noted that because there are almost 30 additional men out on the field, today is past Captain's Day, where BW is recognizing many of their former captains and some of the best to ever play here at BW. Lots of these returning players have come back for this afternoon's game. So they are all out there as well. We have the coin toss at midfield for the moment. Take a look at the coin toss. All right, so the Yellow Jackets and Crusaders have things squared away. Baldwin Wallace in the brown tops and gold pants. Capital in the white tops and white pants. And all of our former captains will head off the field as both teams get ready to take the field here this afternoon.
You know, going back to Coach Hilbert's interview, you mentioned toughness. This is what all this game's about here is the Jackets take the field. It's cold, no one wants to get hit, but the tougher team's going to come out to them.
I think toughness is a factor we'll be watching all afternoon long as Capital, in a slightly less excited fashion, runs onto the field from the far side. All right, so the Yellow Jackets, led by Chad Rogaszewski at head coach, in his 5th year at the helm of the program, and it's been a little, or I should say, 2nd year at the helm of Capital's program, 5th year overall as a head coach. And look, it's been a bumpy road for him, but I think the Crusaders kind of feel like they at least have some pieces that they can build around. And obviously, when you have a quarterback that is as talented as Wibbler, they're going to be able to move the football.
Well, absolutely. You know, considering they just came from the triple option 2-3 years ago, now they have a 2,000-yard passing quarterback. That's a complete change of culture. So it takes time to build that. You got to get your recruits in. Because you're recruiting running backs and offensive linemen, basically. Now you got to get some high wide receivers and the quarterback with the transfer from ODU. So it takes some time. Definitely some improvement coming from them. I mean, they beat us last year, so it should be a good game. Looking for some revenge today.
The other thing to make note of is Capital's ability to just stay focused and disciplined. They've committed 5 total penalties in the last 3 games combined. One of the fewest, or I should say one of the least penalized team in all of Division III. Just about ready to go this afternoon as Jordan Leverett and Trip Washington go back deep for BW. The Jackets will take the football first and try and move down the field quickly with it. Kick comes in. Washington wanted to play it in a hop. I don't think he touched it, but he picks it up in the end zone. And the officials do indeed blow it dead, say that it bounced by him. That could have been rather dangerous. So a touchback, and we'll get things set up here for Capital. BW comes out offensively. Their offensive line from left to right. It's Andrew Sorowski, Patrick Simon, Ryan Simpson, Dale Hazard, and Clayton Stanton. Yellow Jackets have Jake Hudson as their starting quarterback again here in week 8. Hudson's had kind of an up and down year. At times he's been phenomenal. At other times he has struggled a bit. But on the season, Jake's completed 56%, 14 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. 4-2-5 defensive look for the Crusaders as they come out. And on the first play of the afternoon, BW hands the football off to Matt Lowry. He runs up toward the 25, maybe just a yard shy of the first down on the game's first play. Chad Steinwalks, Darian Greer, Rob Wolfington all starting at wide receiver. And between Austin Smith and Matt Lowry, you'll probably see lots of carries coming out of the backfield against a Capital rush defense that, they're okay, but it's definitely an area they need to work on. 2nd and 1, it's a screen pass to Lowry with a couple of blocks. And he gets more than he needs for the first down. Gain of 6 on 2nd and 1, and the sticks move.
Yeah, definitely. The key game plan coming out here is to get number 6 through the ball early. And I kind of like that, those quick hit errors, you get the offensive linemen, get those defenders on their heels, open up maybe a big hit run here, sir.
Capital's defensive starter is coming momentarily for you. Hudson from the gun goes with the no huddle look, and that's become more and more commonplace as the season's gone along. Greer was the pre-snap motion man. The pass comes to Wolfington near side. And it's a pickup of 8 yards, maybe 9, up toward the 49. Yeah, we'll put him at the 49 out of bounds.
2nd and 1 here. Wonder if we take a big shot.
Trey Zimmer, Drew Salig, James Zamor, and Corey Mays across the defensive line as the Jackets commit a false start. Michael Lowofo is a freshman linebacker from Miamisburg. You'll see him throughout the course of the afternoon, along with Derek Ebon, Sean Fakione,
You got man up the top.
They're going to go over to Lowry. Great blocking by Greer, and Lowry's able to get out of bounds just across midfield. A couple of screen passes here in the early going that have worked.
That's just a great job of downfield blocking there. You had the man up as the safety was over at the hash, so you knew that was going to be open. Great job of holding those blocks, allowing for first down.
Eric Strosky and Austin White are the safeties, with LaShawn Sanders and Jordan Duncan playing at corner for Capital. First down and 10 for BW, just on the Capital side of the field in the opening drive of the game. This time it's Austin Smith on his first touch. On another really good pickup. Capital's having a difficult time clogging the holes here on this first drive.
Yeah, BW's doing a good job of spreading the field, opening that box up for the run and quick hitters. So it should be a successful drive to keep that up.
Austin Smith, the team's leading running back, though Jake Hudson is the leading rusher this year. Smith in pass protection as Hudson flushes out to the left. Keeps his eyes downfield. Great play. And he connects with Steinwalks for a first down.
Offensive line gave a great amount of time there. That should be a key to the game. Capital doesn't have any sacks on the season. They struggle to get to the passer. So if we hold that, it should be good.
Now this is off the field. He does. This is a different look. And it's not one that Capital might be comfortable with. Will Vance checks in at quarterback, and Vance has definitely let it air out. He's completed 4 of 6 passes, 3 of which have gone into the end zone.
That's a great percentage there.
Now Vance is actually going out wide to the left. Lowry is playing quarterback, and he hands it to Darian Greer. Greer goes inside the 30. Lowry has carried the football a couple times today as a running back, and he does that with some frequency, 12 carries entering the game on the year. But Lowry is a quarterback by trade, so when you have several different guys that you can throw different looks at teams, as Lowry stays in the game with Will Vance working along with Darian Greer on the far side, it just causes some chaos.
Yeah, coming especially the first drive of the game, usually you have those set plays, and definitely this is in the script.
Lowry on the screen, finds Wolfington, but that was extremely well defended. The Crusaders come up. That's Michael Lawufo, freshman on the stop.
From the beginning. Big third down here. It would be key to get some points here. You're on the fringe of the red zone.
11:08 left in this first quarter. You're right. BW doesn't want to let this first drive fall by the wayside.
Probably 4 down territory here, so I'd look for a run.
Hudson's back in at quarterback with Austin Smith now to his left. Hudson's going to throw it. He's got Greer wide open for a first down and more. Inside the 20. On the out route.
Yeah, they were playing some soft coverage there. He made a good cut into the inside, back to the out. So it's just great route running with the sprint out. It covers half the field only. So it's an easy read for the quarterback.
4th first down of the drive for Baldwin Wallace. Austin Smith looking for the edge. And he picks up about 6 yards down inside the 10. Marked down at the 9-yard line. 2nd and 4 coming. 10:33 left in the first quarter. BW wants to run this play quickly. Smith goes between the right tackle and the right guard, and he got stood up. Derek Ebon, the senior linebacker from Amherst, out on the west side of Cleveland, comes up with a big hit. 3rd down.
Yeah, 3rd and 2 here, so you don't have to get a touchdown necessarily on this play, but inside the 10, you always have to look for the end zone here. So it would be good to get a touchdown coming off of last week. Your last drive stalled inside the 10-yard line, so just get that confidence to get back into it.
Well, and to your point, where it was 4 down territory earlier, this probably doesn't have the same ring to it because you're certainly in field goal range. You want to leave points on the field on your first drive of the game, unless you get to a situation where you just love the look you have on 4th down. But before we get to that, it's Jake Hudson scrambling inside the 5. He's really close, but I think he got stopped.
That's just a great tackle there at the goal line. Couldn't see who made it. But
Hudson's feet, as he was tackled, his feet actually crossed the plane, but the football did not. It is enough for a first down, and it sets up 1st and goal inside the 1.
This is what you just love as an offensive lineman. Everyone knows what's going to happen usually. There's no trickery. Just line up, beat your man.
Hudson back under center. Austin Smith dots the I in the backfield. Hudson pushing toward the end zone. And he's in. Touchdown Baldwin Wallace as they march all the way up the field on the game's opening drive.
You know, that Reggie Bush rule just came to effect there. They changed that rule a couple years back. Line up under center, get a push.
You're exactly right. That used to be illegal. And now it's not only legal but encouraged. And Robert Androina, the fullback, was right behind Hudson, pushing him forward as Brandon Vollmer comes on for the extra point.
You know, that's exactly what we needed out of that first drive. Demoralizing drive. They barely stopped us on. We were ahead of the change every down. Get the quick 7 points. Now we need a defensive stop here to kind of set the tone, get the ball back, and get the game going in our direction.
How about that first drive? 13 plays, 75 yards in almost 6 minutes. BW 5 first downs. They were 2 of 2 on third down. And the Jackets had no problem moving the football through the air or on the ground, completing all 4 passes. And they ran the football a total of 9 times as well. Just, I mean, a tremendous first drive.
I mean, when you spend the whole week making that script for your first, usually drive and a half, 2 drives, that's how you envision it going. That's how you set it up in your walkthrough. So it's just awesome execution. Like we said before the game, execution in this weather, it's going to come down to it.
But I thought it was interesting to see the Yellow Jackets go away from Hudson for a couple of plays where they brought in Lowry and Vance, and yet they just ran their regular offense with different guys. No trick plays, maybe saving those for another point in the game. Certainly have had some of those kinds of plays in the playbook at other points in time. Capital kind of muffing things around here on the ensuing kickoff. It looks like they'll take over right around the 25-yard line after the Crusaders nearly had a disaster. Nick Waters eventually fell on the football and tried to make things go a little more smoothly.
I'm not sure if that was a designed swim kick. It looks like he may have just missed the ball. He seems a little upset with himself. But it turns out pretty well. Their 25-yard line's about where they got the ball for the touchback.
So here comes Thomas Wibbler and the Crusader offense. Again, Wibbler's had a great season. He's completed almost 58% of his passes for nearly 2,000 yards, 20 touchdowns next to just 7 interceptions. He's got a motion man early, decides to hand the football off far side. It's Nate Sean Hargrove, and Hargrove is close to the first down, but not quite there.
Yeah, they definitely watched last week's game against Otterbein. They definitely think they can take advantage of us with the rush.
Hargrove only 43 carries on the year for a net of 219 yards. He is, with that carry, the team's now their leading rusher on the season. And he has played in 6 of the first 7 games for the Crusaders. Wibbler looking around, got some pretty good protection, decides he'll run the football here. Sam Groff went down into him after Wibbler had slid past the sticks. First down, Capital.
Very good coverage down the field. Not much was open. He did a good job of reading what he had, took what he needed.
8 minutes, 16 seconds left in the opening quarter. Baldwin Wallace on top 7-0 after they drove down the field and scored on the game's opening possession.
BW pressing, starting off the game here.
They've got 4 down linemen and a linebacker showing pressure. Wibbler throws a screen near side. This is one of their best, David Barnett, who was tackled quickly for a short gain. Barnett, one of the, not just the best options on this team, but he's one of the best receivers in school history.
Oh, absolutely. And him and the quarterback have some great chemistry going back all the way to high school. They got 3 Zanesville high school alum on their offense, including their left guard, I believe it is, their right guard, Zach Clapper, their quarterback and wide receiver. So they've been playing together for years. Good chemistry. They take advantage of it here at Capital.
Barnett certainly the point man of the offense when the ball is thrown through the air. Second down and 7. This one dumped down, and it should be enough for a first down. Looks like at the 49-yard line. Barnett again on the receiving end. 2 in a row to him, and the Crusaders move the football. I think it's worth noting that last week was a great example that if you don't bring your A game this year especially in this conference, you'll lose. Heidelberg last week was a heavy favorite against Marietta, and they got blown out. I mean, absolutely blown out by more than 20 points. Muskingum nearly beat Ohio Northern last weekend. They lost 7-6. on 1st and 10 with the ball officially spotted at midfield. Handoff goes to Hunter Smith.
Great
No gain,
read there
2nd and
by
10.
Groff coming off the edge. Definitely saw the run, his run lead, offensive lineman blocked down, came to fill the gap perfectly.
Actually, turns out that was Evan Butler, not Hunter Smith. As Butler, Smith, and Hargrove are the three most common running backs for this Crusaders group. 2nd down and 10 at the 6-minute mark of the first quarter. Ball's right on the midfield stripe.
Looks like pressure's coming from the top.
Wibbler has to get it out quickly. A couple flags come in, and that one is in the area of pass interference against Ty Fields.
Yeah, they look like they got him probably for holding before the pass was thrown, but they brought that blitz off the top, so he was man up, and they read that you had to go to your hot route, came right in and got some pressure, and they got lucky with a call, it looks like. It was pass interference, so it would be a spot foul.
Pass interference on Ty Fields. Offensively, on the line, Zach Kennedy, Coulter Thompson, Logan Hernan, Zach Clapper, and Edward Lehman up front for the Crusaders. We mentioned Barnett. You'll also see Dartavius Stanford, who's a good wide receiver. Trey Reese at tight end catches a lot out of the slot for them. Hargrove shifting through the right-hand side, angles toward the numbers, and he's got a gain of 7 to set up 2nd down and 3.
Yeah, they've run that stretch play 3-4 times on this drive already. They like that look. So wondering if we can make the adjustment there.
Defensively for BW, it's Andy Schultz, Anton Richardson, Sharkim Bonaparte, and Wesley Spence up front. Sam Groff, Sean Nischwitz are the linebackers. Christian Cooper, Kerry Sparrow, Ty Fields, Kyle Kelly, Trip Washington, your 5 defensive backs. Crusaders are moving the football, doing a nice job here, now more than 3 minutes into their drive, and they have moved the sticks 3 different times. Hargrove to the left, and a great job coming off the edge for BW defensively. Sean Nischwitz with a big stop, although Capital did pick up just 1 yard.
That's a nice job of blitzing there. He got horizontal down the line instead of getting too far deep. That's what allowed him to make the play just at the line of scrimmage, just slightly past it. A lot of guys get too deep when they come off that blitz, but he did a good job of going horizontal.
3rd down and 2. Wibbler with the hard count, trying to draw the defense offside, but nobody jumped for either team.
Goff showed blitz. Let's see if they stick with it.
Wibbler throwing quickly, and it's a completion. Barnett over the middle, and a 1st down by a lot.
That's just a great job by the quarterback there. He saw his pre-snap read when he faked the hard count that Goff was coming on that blitz. He knew his hot route was going to be right behind him. So his tight end filled that gap nicely, and that's what allowed for the 1st down.
4 minutes, 22 seconds left in the opening quarter, and Capital, as BW did, moving the football with little problem up the field on their first drive of the game. It's 7-0 Yellow Jackets after they scored on Jake Hudson's 1-yard touchdown run. Wibbler back to the ground and pound as Hargrove sidesteps over several would-be tacklers and stumbles down inside the 5. Short of a 1st down, but now Capital knocking on the door.
That jump cut has become pretty famous in Division I in the NFL. And he did a great job of jump cutting there, avoiding the defender, get inside the 5-yard line.
It was the high knee drill with all the rubber tires on the field. That one came into effect nicely. Hargrove stays in there. He's also in the game with Hunter Smith at running back.
See, they got man fade up top, where they're going to run it down the middle here.
On the read option, Wibbler keeps his feet moving and delivers a perfect strike. Touchdown, caught by David Barnett. And the Capital Crusaders within 1 point of tying this thing up.
Yeah, they beat us by formation there. They had Barnett alone, one-on-one. He could have had the fade at the numbers, or he could have came in. He did with the slant. They drew us to the play action and just beat us with a simple slant.
3 minutes, 26 seconds left in the first quarter. Blake Middleton on for the extra point.
They're missing a man.
Capitals, they've got to get somebody on the field here quickly, although they do have 16 seconds on the play clock, so I guess it's not a super big rush.
He's going to hear it in the sideline here when he gets off the field.
Middleton's extra point Bangs it through the uprights perfectly. So the Crusaders on their first drive of the day, 10 plays, 74 yards in 5.5 minutes, after BW went 13 plays, 75 yards in almost 6 minutes.
That's a heck
Neither
of an
offense
answer.
has really come up with anything yet.
No, now that was a great answer by the Capital offense. We got to come right back and put another 7 on the board and hope for that stop. Hopefully this doesn't turn into a track meet that won't favor BW, but as of right now, it looks like one.
Today's Yellow Jacket football game brought to you by Dan Andrews and Olympic Forest Products, a global recycling company. By Domino's Pizza in Berea. Call them at 891-0030 or go online at domino's.com. And by the Ohio Education Credit Union. Gain the advantage. Build your future today.
They pulled Trip Washington off of the kick return. I don't know, tired from defense, or they didn't like how he received that first kick. So little change up back there.
Nigel Henderson takes his place with Jordan Leverett back on the 5-yard line. Here it comes from Middleton, and Leverett inside the 10. Got some blocking toward the outside, and a flag thrown in at the 35 as Leverett's great return came all the way back toward the 40.
It seems to be a trend, just watching football Saturdays, Sundays, doesn't matter what day you're watching. Good returns are always coming back lately. A lot of holding, but it's tough when you're in those one-on-one situations. Blocking the back, holds.
All right, so the foul is called against Baldwin Wallace. It's on Brenton Miller, and it's 10 yards from the spot of the foul. They'll put it back at BW's 26. Jackets and Crusaders, how about this? Combined 10 first downs on 23 plays. A couple of touchdowns. Both teams converting on all 3 third down attempts. Defense apparently optional here in the beginning of this one. Hudson from the gun with 3 targets, a tight end, and a running back. Leverett gave a different look. Austin Smith bounces off a tackler and then ripped down to the turf as Kane Murray came in to tackle him.
Yeah, they tried some misdirection there with Leverett coming across. Opens up a play call for a swing later in the game. He keeps those linebackers frozen and maybe allowing them up the middle. They did a good job of defending it, though.
So it's 2nd down and 8. Greer and Steinwalks wide to the right. You see lots of Yellow Jackets with something on that's pink, whether it's an armband or an ankle taping or anything else.
Nice
Hudson
rollout.
wants to air it out. He's looking down the sideline, and Leverett was right there with Sean Facione. Tremendous coverage prevents a big Yellow Jacket gain.
Yeah, they tried a real route there coming out of the backfield. They sent him in motion pre-snap, and he had him open. Little underthrown and great recovery by the defender.
2 minutes, 35 seconds left in the first quarter. So a 3rd down and 8 for BW. That's a big play because they're fairly deep in their own territory here.
And it's the first time we've really been behind the chains all game.
Jim Hilbert talked in our pregame coverage about wanting to make sure they could deal with manageable 3rd downs. This one a little bit of a challenge. Hudson throws far side. Challenge accepted. Chad Steinwalks, 1st down on a 12-yard pass and catch.
You know, that was a great job by the offensive line there. Andrew Sorosky picked out the blitz pre-snap. They made the adjustment, gave him plenty of time to allow Hudson to find the receiver out wide.
Quickly snapping the ball on 1st down. Austin Smith into the 2nd level. He's gone. Touchdown, Yellow Jackets.
Perfect counter play up front. Ran to perfection. They got the seal block. They were off to the races.
60 yards to the house for Austin Smith. And the Yellow Jackets are back out front. 2nd longest run of the year for Austin Smith and his 3rd touchdown of the season. Bulmer's extra point forthcoming with 2:12 left in the first quarter. Good snap, good hold, and the kick is through the uprights, no problem. Yellow Jackets 14, Crusaders 7 in a first quarter that's had plenty of offense.
Oh, absolutely. It would be nice, though, to get some defense here on this next night. I said it after the first drive. Stadium goes for it. You want to get that defensive stop and set the tone. But right now, it looks like a Big 12 game where they don't play defense.
A couple of games in the Big 12 that'll be fun today. There are two matchups in the Big 12 between top 25 teams. Number 4 TCU has Iowa State today, and they'll play that game in Iowa. Oklahoma State and West Virginia also playing.
Yeah, Iowa State's head coach Matt Campbell from Mount Union.
Thanks for the reminder. There is already some purple on the field. All kidding aside, Matt Campbell's got that program moving in a pretty good direction, that's for sure.
Let's see if he squibs this or he kicks it deep.
It's another squib kick from Riley Jones, who's taken over the kickoff duties. Angling toward the near side of the return, Justin Scott.
They're definitely going with the squib as the game plan. Then I was questioning it the first kick of the game, but that's definitely the game plan.
Rather, that's Trey Reese, on the return. Justin Scott, as soon as I said that, was looking down. One's 8, one is 9. The numbers when the jerseys are scrunched up, it looked similar. But I would imagine that Justin Scott is a defensive lineman, probably not back deep to return a kick. All right, so there's 2:07 left in the first quarter. BW by a touchdown. And we'll see what the defense can do. So far, the first 3 offensive possessions of the game have resulted in a lot of offense, as in 210 yards of offense so far. Hargrove following his blocks patiently, and then he's whacked from behind by Sam Groff, but not after he picked up a first down.
They've ran this play 4 or 5 times. They get their offensive lineman down the front, just a simple sweep. They pull both the guard and tackle, and they're definitely taking advantage of our getting outside of our defense, outside contain.
Reese checks out. Nick Iskey checks in. He's listed as a quarterback on the roster. Iskey does have 10 catches on the year, so he's the kind of guy that maybe they can put in some different situations. Iskey lines up in the slot on the right.
Man outside.
Right over the middle, and Iskey, rather Barnett, I should say, comes open, makes the catch. Wibbler continues to have these quick, short passes, but he's finding open targets every time, yet to throw an incompletion for closing in on 50 yards here at the outset of the game.
Well, he's just doing a great job of pre-snap reads. He's diagnosing the coverage, he's finding out who's blitzing, and he's just replacing them play after play.
Second down and a long one. Hargrove with room on the left-hand side. Stiff-armed Ty Fields.
That's a great open field tackle there.
Got knocked down at the 45, you're right. Fields wrapped him up around the ankles even after he couldn't keep him in front.
He's a big back. It takes a lot to bring him down, especially with one-on-one against a corner there in the open field. Did a good job of using the sideline as his friend, forcing him there, and just holding on for dear life.
Less than a minute to go in the opening quarter. 1st and 10 for Capital. Hargrove already over 50 yards on the ground. Wibbler lobs it left side, and he almost connected with Trey Reese. And if the Crusaders, well, it was good coverage, but Washington never even turned his head around. A good throw, and Washington would be scratching his head, wondering how it got in there. That's the first incompletion of this first quarter. That brings up 2nd and 10 with 27 seconds left in the opening frame. Nick Waters goes out wide to the left, 3 targets for Wibbler out wide to the right. Wibbler left side finds Waters for a completion and a first down.
Wibbler's really putting the ball exactly where it needs to be with these throws. Completely accurate, right there, perfect back shoulder fade. He threw the man open, is what he did.
It's a Capital team that ran the triple option a couple of years ago. Now they got a kid who can totally change the dynamic of this offense. Pretty impressive what the Crusaders have done here through the air in the opening quarter. But they trail 14-7 as the teams head off the field for our end of first quarter break. Baldwin Wallace 14, Capital 7 in what has the makings of an offensive shootout this afternoon. Second quarter action comes your way next on BWYellowJackets.com. Start of the second quarter, and the Crusaders are on the move, down 14-7. But they have done a good job moving the football with Thomas Wibbler through the air and Hargrove on the ground. And Hargrove takes the first carry wide toward that left sideline. Nate Sean Hargrove angles for a big first down gain. You've mentioned a couple times that Wibbler is almost throwing his receivers open. You don't see a lot of that kind of presence from a quarterback in this conference, and that's a big reason why Capital's been competitive, even though they haven't won games.
No, absolutely. You don't see a lot of that in quarterbacks, period. The great of the greats are the ones who do that. That's what makes the difference between a solid quarterback and a great quarterback, is the ability to throw your receivers open.
Wibbler on the play action, and that play took a little too long to develop. I know that sounds silly, but they lose a couple of yards. Wibbler kept on reading, and the defense was kind of sticking him in a bad spot. It turns into a 2-yard loss, 3rd and 5.
That might be the first negative play of the game for either team here.
I think it is, you're right. Both teams have had no problem moving the football at all. It's a big third down coming. Capital in the first quarter, 1 for 1 on third downs. BW 3 for 3. Hargrove running right side with lots of room. Gets to the corner. Well more than he needed. Out of bounds inside the 15. It's a 15-yard gain for Capital on 3rd down and 5.
BW's having a tough time containing the run. They have spread the run. They're running sweeps outside every time. They ran that one sweep with both linemen pulling 3-4 times. They ran that one outside as well. We've got to look for an adjustment in the second half here to keep the edge solid. That's your defensive ends, outside linebackers.
Nate Sean Hargrove rumbling through the middle of the line of scrimmage, and he stuffed it to 10 after a pickup of 3. I'm admitting I'm impressed with Capital's balance early on, because we expected Wibbler to have that kind of success, but I don't think anybody expected Capital would, I don't want to say run it down BW's throat, but they've had one negative run the whole game.
You know, I think that's just a great job to the coaching staff. They definitely watched film this last on BW, shown we are susceptible to the run. Knowing they still are a great passing team, they're going to take advantage of that themselves, but try to attack our weaknesses a little bit. I mean, they have a big running back with all the skills. Not sure why it hasn't developed through the year, but definitely developing today.
Crusaders looking for the back of the end zone, and it's caught for a touchdown. Wibbler to Barnett, round 2. And Capitals within 1.
Once again, perfect placement on that ball. Only place he could throw it that his receivers catching that ball is right there. This is exceptional quarterback play.
It really is. Barnett now with 2 touchdown catches. That's 8 for him on the season. Capitals now thrown for 23 touchdowns on the year as a team.
Every point matters here.
Middleton on to try and tie things at 14 apiece. And he does. Right through the uprights and good on a sub 40 degree day in Berea. This is a Capital offense that on the year is averaging 103 yards rushing per game. Capital in the beginning of this game has run the football with no problem. They have 4 rushing first downs, 10 total first downs, and they've already run for 70 yards on 12 carries. That's an average of 6 yards a carry. BW's got to come up with a solution here.
They definitely have exposed the weakness of getting to the outside. They've ran it. I don't think they've had many successful runs up the middle, to be honest. So the adjustment at halftime is going to have to be to set the edge. And whether if it's they're just not they mentioned toughness in the pregame interview. If they're not willing to take on that block, to turn it back in the middle, I'm not sure what it is, but they definitely have to make this adjustment, either in between series or at halftime, or this game's going to be a track meet all night.
Jordan Leverett from the 9. Crusader fans hold their breath every time this guy touches the ball. And a nice wrap up and driving him out of bounds by Jacob. Okay, 4 possessions, 4 touchdowns, early second quarter. You have to imagine that not every possession is going to end in a score, but who can come up with that big play? Who's going to blink first? And right now, BW feels confident in what they're doing offensively.
Absolutely. They've had great balance. It's not even just balance in the play calling, balance in the drive so far. Last drive, they had that quick hitter, that 65-yard touchdown. Drive before, they sustained a huge drive down the field. So let's see what this third drive turns into.
Hudson with Lowry in pre-snap motion, handed to Austin Smith. And Austin Smith maybe picked up 1. Trey Zimmer got to him quickly. Second down and 9.
And as a defense, that's exactly what you're looking for. You're looking to keep the offense behind the chains. And by behind the chains, that's allowing 4 less yards per play. Mostly 3 or less. But you sometimes allow that 4th. But keeping offense needing to get more than 3 yards for a first down on third down is the key.
Second and 9. This is a play that Matt Lowry single-handedly lifted BW to a more manageable third down situation because he could have been stopped 6 yards before that. Instead, it sets up 3rd and 1.
And just like I said, what you need from defense is exactly what you need from your offense responding. Get that 3rd and manageable that you could open the whole playbook open. You don't have to eliminate. We have to pass deep, allow those rushers to pin their ears back. Right now, everyone's on edge. They can run this ball in 3rd and 1, which I would advise, but they can also look for a quick hitting. They got trips out here, so look for something out there.
Austin Smith needs 1, and he's got it. A 2-yard gain for a first down. Before we get too far away from it, what do you think about the pace and the tempo of this game dictating on 4th down and 1 or 2, as long as your back isn't way against your own end zone, because neither team has had a response to other teams, to the opponent's offense. You wonder what kind of position it puts somebody in as BW picks up almost 10 yards there on that first down carry. You might see 4th down, conversion attempts just out of necessity.
It kind of feels like an overtime game a little bit. You don't want to be the first team not to score, as the other team to get that lead. So it's you don't want to be the first team to get a stop. You want to be the first team to get the stop, but you don't want to be stopped. So the play calling here, again, 2nd and 1. I want to see them take a big shot here.
I think that's a great way to think about it. As Steinwalks comes near side and makes a great catch, but he was out of bounds. Jim Hilbert coming over to the near side officials and trying to plead on Steinwalks' behalf.
I think he's got an argument there.
And by the way, we didn't have a chance to tell you about our officials today. Fred Mammarella, the head referee. Brian Freds is the umpire. Todd Zaborniak, the side judge. Head linesman is Bob Mottler. Chuck Straka, the line judge. Field judges Craig Kowalski and Josh Fritz, the back judge.
This is definitely 4-down territory here, I believe. So let's see if they take a shot where they might not be suspected it.
On 3rd and 1, Austin Smith waiting, and he did not pick it up. Tackled by the ankles from behind, Derek Ibon with a big-time stop for the Crusaders. And the Yellow Jackets are bringing in a different group. Here comes Matt Lowry and Will Vance once more with Jake Hudson coming off the field. This is not a punting unit, but again, there are 2 different guys on the field here, Lowry and Vance, that have completed passes this year. Capital trying to make sure they line up the right way. Greer in motion. It's an option. Lowry is stopped very close to the marker, but if it's where I think he is, the Yellow Jackets do not convert.
That's just Capital stepped up. We just talked about not being the first one. We wanted to be the first to get the stop. 4th and 1, it's who wants it more right there. And Capital, they took advantage. Are they measuring? Or?
The officials are taking a timeout here for a measurement, but it certainly looks like it's a full half yard short. BW needed essentially the capital 49-yard line, and that football is nowhere near the 49. So I expect this to be well short of the stick. That was a that was a measurement that I scratched my head for. I mean, that was a solid 3 feet short of the stick. But BW gambled. Not a bad idea, but it did not work. And you're right, Capital just kind of stepped up and made the play. And so the Crusaders go back to work. They've got a chance to take the lead here.
Let's see if this defense steps up and makes a stop of their own. But for Capital here, look for that outside run again. Let's see if they pull those tackles.
Nate Sean Hargrove still the running back. And on play action, Wibbler looking for the home run pass down the middle. Stanford burns him. Touchdown, Crusaders, from 50 yards away on a big-time throw.
Exactly a nightmare for the defense. That's exactly what you did not want to happen. But once again, Weaver just hits it right in the basket, full speed. They did a good job of they brought it in motion, kind of get him a head start. And it just beat the corner 1-on-1. The play action, I think, was huge there. Like I said before this time, I was looking for that run. They faked it. Evidently, the defense was thinking the same thing I was.
Middleton on for the extra point. And Capital puts it through. I'll tell you what, I've been watching OAC football for a decade, and I don't think I've seen a better quarterback at Capital than Thomas Wibbler. That's not to say he's the best in program history, but that kid is really impressive. Throws a great ball, commands the offense, just knows what to do to put his team in a position to be successful. And BW is kind of looking around going, hey, we've given them the football 3 times. They've scored 3 times. And it feels like there is no margin for error, and we still have 9.5 minutes in the second quarter.
It's really it's not how you thought this game was going to go. Coming off, we had the ball first. It looked like, all right, this is going to be a BW. We're finally going to get that game. And we play a full 4 quarters. We get some separation in a game. But Capital's not having any of it. They came in here today. They're like, we're not rolling over. They only have 1 win on the year. That doesn't stop them. It goes back to that toughness factor. You know, weather's not good. They don't care right now. They're here to win a football game.
Capital's time of possession is only a minute longer than BW. It's been a fairly evenly played game in that regard so far, as Nigel Henderson takes the kick return with 2 flags thrown in from long distances. Henderson tackled between the hashes shy of the 35, but it looks like BW might have to back up a little bit. All right, if you're Baldwin Wallace from an offensive perspective, it's time to just throw what happened out the window. Realize the 4th down didn't work, and only 7 seconds later, as the holding is officially announced on the field, only 7 seconds later, you give up that go-ahead score. But again, let's just stress how early it is in the game. Offensively, what do you want to see BW try and refocus on here?
I'd like to get them refocused on the run. You know, maybe sustain a drive here. You don't have to worry about getting that point back right now. It's not a sprint. It is a marathon. I mean, we got half a quarter left in the second quarter. We still have halftime adjustments to be made. Those have always been key. We've done a great job of halftime adjustments all year. I mean, we've scored 92 points in the 4th quarter. Wouldn't like it to come down in the 4th quarter, but this isn't time to the pressure. The fear. Just run your offense, stick to your game plan. Right here, they set up outside, huge play.
Yeah, Hudson with a great read, firing one to the outside. Ty Ramsier on his first catch of the day. And BW makes a pretty needed gain, 23 yards all the way up to the 40.
Well, they've been saying that swing play up all game. They run it almost on every play, that little swing. They don't always go to it, but they run it.
Hudson back through the air. And a great defensive play as he looked for Wolfington far side. Broken up by LaShawn Sanders.
That's textbook defensive back play right there. Right on his inside hip. Came right over the top, no contact. You just got to chalk one up to the defense sometimes.
There have been 20 first downs in less than 20 minutes. Actually, just over 20 minutes. You're right. It kind of feels like a basketball game. Greer into the backfield. Second and 10. Hudson on the triple option. Decides to run up the middle with it. He picked up 5 yards, but paid for it. Nice lick from Trey Zimmer and company. Third down and 5.
We've been talking about 4-down territory all game. I do not believe this is 4-down territory. I think you need to run a play to get you at least 6 yards here. You don't want to give them a short field again, showing you can't stop them to begin with. Don't give them a 14-point lead here. So play some field position to try to get this first down.
See what offensive coordinator Brian Foose draws up. 3rd and 5 for Hudson. Near side to Steinwalks, who rips it away from a defender and then races out of bounds inside the 40. Terrific handwork as Jake Lindsey was closing down, and I think Lindsey was considering what it would feel like to march up the field for a pick 6. Steinwalks, who's also a great lacrosse player, just ripped it out of his paws, and BW comes up with a big 3rd down conversion.
You know, we've been talking about Weebler putting the ball exactly where it needs to be there. Hudson got a little bit of his own free play here. Goes
so
deep.
They're going for it, and it's incomplete. I think that far side official wanted to throw a flag for interference, and when he reached toward his pocket, realized he'd already thrown his flag. Don't be surprised here if you see a second foul.
So be interested. But great job by Hudson there. You know, see Aaron Rodgers doing that on Sundays. He's the best in the world at it. He knows he has a free play, and he takes advantage of it. And you see that turn into touchdowns a lot of the time, just because you take the risk that's no risk. So Hudson did a great job there, throwing it up. Didn't work, still free 5 yards, 1st and 5. Now, every play ever is available here. Probably like to see a run here.
So it's 1st down and 5 for the Yellow Jackets. 8:14 left in the second quarter. Hudson taking his time, looking around at the defense on a cold and rather quiet afternoon. How about this little trick play? Greer with some room on the sideline, and he's finally knocked out. That was a touchdown-saving stop from 2 different Crusaders. Austin White and Eric Strosky kept Greer from getting into the end zone. Great play design.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been mentioning that they're running all these formations and plays that have the trick play in them. And they finally take advantage of it with a big hitter.
Nothing to take advantage there, though. Austin Smith got driven into the turf by Trey Zimmer.
Now that we're in the red zone here, it's key to come away with points. You don't want to pressure here. You don't want to make a bad decision as a quarterback or a running back trying to get that extra yard and putting the ball in jeopardy here. It's so early in the game. 3 points here is a good possession. There's nothing to be taken away with. You're fine with 3 points, so don't pressure yourself into not allowing any points by making a bad decision.
Capital 21, BW 14, midway through the second quarter. Hudson on play action with a rifle inside the 10. Completed pass to Wolfington. Picked up about half of what he needed to set up 3rd down and 6.
There's still a 1st down available. Be tough to get, but it's still available. So we'll see. You kind of got to go to the end zone here. But like I said before, don't throw the ball into Jeopardy's way. You're fine with 3 points here. I know it's a track meet, and a lot of touchdowns have been put on the board, but the way possessions go, those 3 points might be at the end.
Hudson on a quarterback keeper. Dialing it up for a touchdown run inside the pylon. He got a great block on the right side of the line from his right tackle, Clayton Stanton, and sprung him for 6. BW's an extra point tie of shy, an extra point shy of tying it up.
Why get 3 when you can get 4? But no, that was a great job of sealing the edge there by the right tackle. Great play design. Just, it's a race to the edge, and Hudson wins it.
Baldwin Wallace brings the special teams unit out. Brandon Vollmer connects. I'm not usually the kind of guy that wants to just give you stat after stat, because I think after a while it gets old hearing numbers. But I think it's at least worth referencing what's gone on here so far. BW, 12 first downs on 32 plays. They had 245 yards of offense. That's almost 8 yards per play. 6 of 7 on 3rd downs. And they've scored 3 touchdowns. Capital, they're averaging averaging almost 9 yards per play, and they've run 11 fewer plays. Yet they also have 11 first downs on 21 total plays. The Crusaders have 1 negative play. Feels like we're playing a video game.
It really does. This happens in football though sometimes. It's not traditional. We're used to those traditional games in this kind of weather. You might get a 13-12 game, 3 fumbles, and just an asshole. Right now, everyone's executing on offense. You'd like to see the defense step up here, try and take control, because often, this could be a track meet all day.
This time it is the defensive lineman Justin Scott who returns the kick. Last time I wasn't sure. This time I can tell you for certain it is Justin Scott who gives Capital football back. And so it once again turns over to Thomas Wibbler, and let's see what he's able to do in a game that has featured 42 points already.
We played a full football game in the first half.
Well, last year this kind of game was really down to the wire. BW and Capital went to double overtime last year. Both teams scored a touchdown in the first overtime. And in the second overtime, BW scored a touchdown on the possession to answer. Capital went for 2, missed it, and lost the game. That might have been one of the shorter runs we've seen all afternoon from Nate Sean Hargrove. Capital still picks up a couple, though.
Well, that's an effective run for them now. They run that play action. That's why they beat us with the touchdown. That same play, they ran play action on for the touchdown. They will come back here and actually run the play. So keeping the defense guessing like that, it's a successful run. You get 4 yards, so you're still in that ahead of the chains category, but it keeps the defense thinking, which is much more.
2nd and 6, it's a screen pass to the far side, and Barnett's got another reception. Difference this time is that BW ripped into the turf quickly. Brett Miller, the first to tackle him, and the defense, especially the defensive backs, came over to finish him off.
He was shot at screen from the beginning, beat 2 blocks, made a great open field tackle, minimum game. That's what you like to see in film.
Yeah, minimal gain, if any. It's still listed as 3rd and 6. He might have moved the length of the football. I think Baldwin Wallace needs to burn a timeout here. They had some miscommunication with who was supposed to be out on the field there.
That's a great timeout here. It's only 5 minutes left in the second quarter, but this has a feel that this can be maybe not game-changing, but a key 3rd down here. Capital got their stop. It's time to get ours here. 36. You're thinking they're going to throw the ball here. I doubt they run. They might. I don't think this is 4-town, but we'll see what comes out. Good timeout. Get your situation going.
All right, there are some other games going on around the conference. Mount Union pounding Otterbein 30-0 early second quarter. Heidelberg is blanking Wilmington 7-0 late second quarter. Marietta 13, Ohio Northern 7 midway through the second quarter. That game's in Ada as the Pioneers continue their great turnaround, trying to beat Heidelberg and Ohio Northern in back-to-back weeks. And of course, this one is a shootout. We'll get you an update from John Carroll and Muskingum a little later.
They have that sweet look here.
3rd and 6. Wibbler under pressure. He's across the line of scrimmage, so he had to run the football. And I think he was just short. Believe Capital's going to be facing 4th down and short here.
Looks like they're going to bring the Pioneer on. I think that's the right decision. Field position this game is going to be key. You don't want to give BW a short field.
Baldwin Wallace trying to get things situated. It looks like they're bringing Ty Gallo in to return the punt.
I would be really at the fake here, though. This is the field position to run. I don't know if you run your first punt of the game, but they will kick it away.
No, they're going to throw it. It is caught right at the line to gain, and I think Capital got it by just enough.
It's going to come down to the measurement here, but
the Crusaders fake a punt on 4th and less than 1 yard, and it will indeed come down to a measurement. The ball, the nose of the football is right on the 44. The chains on the far side are on the 44. I have to admit, in the chaos, I didn't see, and without a replay, I can't tell you who caught the ball, but we'll see if maybe our live stat crew picked that up. Either way,
This is going to be a close one.
Coming down to a measurement, I'm going to guess Capital has it.
It's going to be the nose of the football either way. Well, they're short.
They are short by literally 1 inch. Wow.
That's why you measure. But good job by the punt return team to sniff out that fake and allowing half a yard a game when they needed 3/4 of a yard a game. So great job by the punt defense being alert there. And I don't know if I like the fake punt move, but it was definitely an option there. But now BW has to capitalize on this possession. You need 6 here. Make them pay for that decision. Lowry in the quarterback.
It is Matt Lowry taking the snap here on 1st and 10 from Capitals 44.
Go back.
Will Vance looking back to Lowry. Caught at the 30. Lowry still on his feet down to the 20. It's a 24-yard gain. Baldwin Wallace with a little creativity.
Whole
First
playbook's
down.
open now. It's going deep in the playbook here.
Doesn't it kind of feel like these two teams have offensively kind of looked at each other and said, all right, it's on, let's go. And see what they can dial up. Sometimes those can be the most fun games because guys play loose and just go out and have a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Hudson's back in at quarterback.
1st and 10. Austin Smith shakes out of a couple, and he's down inside the 10-yard line for another first down. This time it'll set up 1st and goal. I'm quite certain Capital, if they could dial it up again, they probably would, given their willingness to go for it on that 4th down. I wouldn't be surprised if they would have made that decision again. And again, I realize I'm trying to call the game as I see it. Truth be told, because it was literally, I am sitting on the 44-yard line. I think the Crusaders got a bad spot. I think that should have been a first down, but that's just my personal opinion. BW will take the good fortune, that's for sure. Austin Smith stood up near the line of scrimmage. He picks up a couple, so it's 2nd down and goal. But either way, to your point, it's still so early in the game. One possession right now, as long as you can keep it within 7 points, one possession doesn't really feel like that's going to be enough to swing it.
No, absolutely not. Just like I said, in the red zone here, I feel like so many times teams try to get that 6 points and they give up 3. And while a lot of times people are like, oh, you just got a field goal in the red zone, that's not good. Well, obviously you want touchdowns. But in games where it stops are hard to come by, 3 points coming in the last seconds of the game, that might be the difference. So don't just throw away points when you can get it.
On 2nd and goal from the 7, Hudson tried to go airborne over the middle, deflected away by Sean Facione. Incomplete. It is 3rd down and goal for BW.
Yeah, their linebacker did not fall for the fake. Hudson just read it. Lucky to get away with one there. No 3rd goal here. Like to see, we got 1-on-1 up top. I doubt they throw that fade. I look for something over here with the trips, but we'll see.
Hudson adjusting his protection with still 6 on the play clock. Jake gonna run the football with some blocking, trying to get to the goal line, and he is a yard short.
Looks like he's starting the kicking unit. I kind of agree with the decision.
Well, a successful field goal would give BW a 24-21 lead.
Took a page out of Urban Meyer's playbook there. It seems like he likes to run his quarterbacks in goal-to-goal situations. We ran Hudson there. I mean, he got most of the yards, but just stopped at the goal line. Great tackle there. See if we can convert.
John Kromalik to hold. Brandon Vollmer on the short field goal. No problem. BW 24, Capital 21 on a cold, wet, breezy afternoon. Although from the start of the game to this point, it has not rained during the game. It rained most of the morning. We weren't sure if that was going to negatively affect the offenses. Anything but. Less than 2 minutes to go in the first half. BW and Capital have combined for over 400 yards of offense.
Yeah, and a lot of people get mad when they get to the 1 yard line and don't finish the touchdown. But in a game like this, where we have a total of 2 stops, one was both on 4th down, every point is going to matter in this game. It looks like it's going to come down to who has the ball last. Right now, it's going to be a 4-point game with that field goal if it sticks with keep touchdowns, which means you need a touchdown to score, or that 3-point game where you can only need the tie. So
I probably should specify a little more clearly. This game has seen almost 500 yards of offense. They are at 479 total. There's an awkward-looking kick, but Capital in trouble picking it up. I don't know if they ever touched it. It went right through his legs into the end zone. It could have been miserable for the Crusaders.
Same
touchback.
First kickoff of the game, Trip Washington handled it the same way. That same side of the field. I don't know if they're expecting different bounces with the wet turf. I'm not sure what it is, but tough to field these kicks today. 2 minutes here. Barry, this is a key 2-minute stop here. You do not want them to get late points in the half. That's what wins games. The last 2 minutes of halves is where it dramatically changes games. So if you can get a defensive stop here in under 2 minutes, successful, go to half, make your adjustments.
Well, both teams have gotten points in every drive except for one so far. Wibbler through the air where he can be really efficient. And he finds Dartavius Stanford for a first down on the first play of the drive. Capital still has all 3 timeouts and 1:45 to work with, down 24-21.
That may have been his worst throw of the game, and it was a completion. He threw it a little low. It was a good play still, but that's just saying how good he's been today.
10 of 11 through the air, making 11 of 12 as Hargrove ducks out of bounds at the 42 for a 5-yard gain to set up second down and 5. Wibbler is 11 of 12 for 130 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The one incompletion he threw was a chance he took down the near sideline, and he still almost completed the pass. I don't know what more you could possibly ask for out of a quarterback in the first half than what Capital's gotten from their Ligton.
I mean, it's even beyond just his throwing the ball. He is reading our defense perfectly almost. He's getting the blitzers to come out of position, and he's replacing them exactly how it's taught. This is a big second down here.
Got to get it off quickly. He does. Great protection, but it doesn't last long enough. Baldwin Wallace gets to the quarterback. Andy Schultz stops Wibbler. And the Crusaders call a timeout with 3rd and 12 upcoming.
Give credit to their body there, too. They ran a great start. Both men at the quarterback. Just that's what you need on that second down. Now 3rd and long with 1:20. Make a play happen here. You get the ball back. I probably go to halftime, but you still have that scoring chance if you do make the stop here.
What's kind of amazing to me is Capital has run 28 plays. They have 12 first downs. This is only their 4th third down of the whole half. And they've got 21 points. I mean, it has been wildly efficient for the Crusaders.
Absolutely. They're executing on 1st and 2nd down. And that's what you need to do to be successful. You want those thirds, and I can run any play in my playbook. There's no guessing. I mean, you keep the defense guessing.
But they haven't even had third downs where they've had to look at that page in the playbook. It's 3rd and 12 here. This is easily their most challenging play of the game. BW with only 3 down linemen. Spence from behind, and Wibbler goes down! A 3-man rush! The Yellow Jackets actually, I beg your pardon, that was Sekou Imani with the sack. And now Capital is in a big, bad spot.
That's exactly what you look for out of a defense, but that can't happen as an offensive line. You know 3 guys are coming to your 5. You can't allow them to get there at all later than that early. So great job by the BW defense, but Capital's going to look back at that play. They're going to, at halftime, they ain't going to be happy.
BW burns a timeout, trying to conserve as much of this clock as they can. 4th down and 19.
I think you go after this punt.
I don't disagree with you, and I think Capital will kick it away to Ty Gallo. If for some reason they tried something silly, they need their own 47 for a first down. I imagine this will be a fairly conservative punt here from Avery Wirt.
It looks like they're setting up the return. Yeah, they will.
Wirt with a spiraling kick off his right foot, angled toward the sideline. Wow, that was really, really good. Nice punt for Avery Wirt. The first punt of the entire game for either team. Wirt had thrown a pass on that fake punt last time out. So BW with 1:02, one timeout, a 3-point lead, and the Yellow Jackets have the football, but they know they won't have the football to start the second half. I think you'll see them take a couple chances here.
What I would do here, first play of the game, I'd set up a misdirection, a screen, something that allows for a big play. Doesn't guarantee it, but depending on what, if you get 10, 7 yards, then you go full throttle, go get points. If it's 0 or negative, be conservative, go to halftime, make your adjustments.
Hudson on 1st and 10, finds Chad Steinwalks. It's complete for just a 2-yard gain. Open field tackle from LaShawn Sanders.
It looks like they're going for points either way, so let's see if they can convert.
43 seconds and counting. Hudson looking for Ramsey down the seam. Instead, he throws a little further, and Darian Greer comes back to the football, makes a big catch. Ramsey gave up on it. Darian Greer had pulled off his route to come back and make the reception.
Yeah, I think you got to spike this ball here. Save your timeout for the field goal, because you always want to give the kicker more time.
37-yard reception. Hudson is not spiking it with 27 seconds, and he throws a pick. Stared down the seam, and he threw an interception. Austin White was there, and he picked it off. That's the first real mistake that either team has made all game.
Yeah, that one hurts. I feel like you gotta go snap, you gotta go spike that football, regroup, get a good play, don't rush it. You're at the 28-yard line there. I mean, you only needed maybe 5 yards to get in field goal range. You had 30 seconds of a timeout. Don't want to force that there. But now, get your stop, go to halftime. Not the end of the world. Make your adjustments, learn from it.
Well, Hudson's a pretty mentally stable kid, and I expect he'll rebound from that. But you're right, that was a tough one. The Yellow Jackets have to put that one in the rearview mirror.
Looks like they're gonna run a little screen here, see if they can get a big play.
1st and 10, 3 timeouts for Capital, 20 seconds to go. Whittler throws a pass to the near side after faking to the far side. Incomplete as he looked to dump it off to Dylan Schoonover. And all of a sudden, where Whittler had terrific protection early on, he's got less than a second to throw the football the last few minutes.
I think we have some subs there on the D-line. We went smaller. We got the defensive tackles, went with smaller D-ends, kind of a rush package here. Thinking that making the difference here.
Sekou Imani, who wears number 31 and lines up at the left defensive end, is one of Jim Hilbert's favorite young defensive linemen. He's already been in a good spot today.
They're still going for 15 seconds. It's surprising.
Whittler looking, throws down the middle, and that one's picked off. Trip Washington from his own 44. And he's tackled at the 48 with 3 seconds to go before halftime.
Go to halftime. Take your knee. Go hard on your interception. You're good. Don't force something. Maybe get a sack strip. Something freaky happen. Just go to halftime here.
Well, BW's got a 24-21 lead, and they could take one shot if they'd like. Barring a penalty, this will be the last play of the first half. Again, Capital will start the second half with a football after Whittler threw just his 8th interception of the season. Let's see who comes out. It's Steinwalks, Wolfington, Austin Smith. They've got the tight end in there, Pat Orsini. Jordan Leverett, too.
They're gonna go for it.
Hudson wants to let a Hail Mary fly. Way short of the end zone. Leverett comes up with a catch. Down inside the 5-yard line and out of bounds, but with the exception of just padding some stats, Capital does their job, and they keep the Yellow Jackets out of the end zone. That was a wildly entertaining first half between Capital and BW, with the Yellow Jackets out front 24-21. BW ran 41 plays. I know there were some garbage yards thrown on the end on that last one, but more than 300 yards of offense in the first half. They finished with 370 after picking up more than 40 yards on that last play. Capital, 31 plays for 195 yards. Both teams basically had one mistake. They each threw an interception. The Yellow Jackets, for the most part, moved the football at will. Although Capital probably feeling right now like their decision to go for it on 4th and short has cost them 3 points and a chance to be tied going into the locker room.
I feel like both teams are happy with what happened on offense, for sure. So they're not worried about their execution coming in at halftime. They'll make their adjustments, but defense, these defensive coordinators have it in for them at halftime. There's got to be many adjustments on both sides of the ball here. And I wouldn't be surprised, while this first half was crazy offense, I wouldn't be surprised if those adjustments are made and they would get more of a defensive struggle in the second half.
We'll find out. Second half's about 20 minutes away. We'll step aside, but we hope you'll stick with us because we've got a special guest coming on at halftime from the 1978 National Championship team. That'll be our tease for the moment, but we'll have that special guest in just a few minutes. Baldwin Wallace 24, Capital 21 at the break. You're listening to Yellow Jacket Football on BWYellowJackets.com. Oh, with the names of the referees? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, they really don't get the name of the referee.
It is what it is. I realize that you were probably told to come up here. Really good job. The only thing I would say in the second quarter, it felt like there were a couple times All right, Rick. Halftime at Baldwin Wallace with the Yellow Jackets on top of the Capital Crusaders, 24-21, in a game that has become a little bit more of an offensive shootout than maybe we expected on paper, but certainly has been fun. Really excited to have a special guest with us here at halftime this afternoon from the class of 1981, Tim Robinson. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Great to have you, and I know you're working on a special project that you're eager to tell us about.
Right. Yes, I'm writing a book about our 1978 national championship team, and I'm compiling stories from the fellows and also sharing my experiences, and also really the main point is being a Yellow Jacket for life. Playing football here at BW has meant a lot to me over the years, and I wanted to show how that when you play ball at Baldwin Wallace, it goes with you forever.
I often hear from some football alumni how important and how fondly they look on those days when they played football here. What are some of your favorite memories?
Well, my favorite memory is, of course, the national championship team. But the reason I appreciate it so much is when I was in high school, I played 3 years on the varsity, and we won 3 games. The years that I was fortunate to play at BW, I was on the 1977 team and 78 team. We won 19 games, we lost 1 and tied 1. And the only blemish on the record was Wittenberg, who we beat in the national championship game. So that was some sweet revenge.
I can imagine. I can imagine. How have things changed from what you've followed the OAC and you follow BW's program nowadays? Are there any really noticeable differences from when you played, or do you just see it as a tradition that continues?
Well, I see it as a tradition that continues. The one thing that I want to say is the field is stunning. They called it the magic carpet when I played. Trust me, it was more the magic concrete. There were open seams that were concrete. You could touch the concrete. And I started actually as a defensive end. And to this day, my right index finger has a thicker skin on it than the rest of my hand from being on the turf and firing out of my stance.
I know you probably will think I'm full of it, but I promise I'm telling you the truth. I actually have seen pictures of this stadium from back even before you played in the early 70s. My dad, when he was a kid, ran track here, and I saw lots of pictures of the stadium, and you kind of recognize it. It takes a second. You're looking at it going, is that BW? And then you realize that it's changed a little bit, but you're right. More concrete and carpet than AstroTurf.
Exactly. But it was, when teams came here, one of the things that we did is, of course, most teams didn't have artificial turf. So we would provide them with shoes. They were lovingly called moon boots. These things were miserable, and so, it was a little bit of a competitive edge having these guys wear these crazy shoes,
That's kind of fun. Tim Robinson, class of 1981, and a member of the 1978 National Championship team, our guest at halftime. BW leads Capital today 24-21. Tim, I know part of this is that you're looking to both reconnect with lots of your former classmates, but also hoping that they'll share some of their stories that you can incorporate into your book.
Correct.
For those classmates that might come across this conversation, what's the easiest way they can get a hold of you?
The easiest way is I have a Gmail account that can I share that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can share whatever you want.
It's 1978 bwchamps@gmail.com. Would need is their contact information, or they could just send me, if they have stories that they put in Word for me, and they could just attach that to an email, and so I can put it together. And I'm really looking forward to getting as many stories as possible, because next year is our 40th reunion, and I'd like to have this all together kind of as a memory book, and that each player can share with with their family and friends, as well as being a legacy for future BW athletes.
That's 1978 bwchamps@gmail.com. Send your stories and memories over to Tim Robinson, and hopefully we'll have a great book that next year when it comes out we can feature. We'll read and share some memories throughout the course of the year as we celebrate the 40-year anniversary of the national championship all year long in 2018. Anything else you'd like to add?
Go Jackets!
That's not a surprise. Tim, thanks for your time, and welcome to you and your wife, Megan.
Okay, thank you.
All right, more with our halftime show continuing after this timeout. BW 24, Capital 21 at the break here on BWYellowJackets.com. Absolutely. As long as you're cool, man. It was good. Take it easy. Yellow Jackets and Crusaders just about ready for the start of the second half. BW on top 24-21 in a game that has featured a ton of offense. Here's some first half numbers for you. We'll start with BW. Yellow Jackets 12 of 17 through the air, 1 interception, 3 touchdown passes. Let's try that again. Yellow Jackets are 12 of 17 through the air as a team, 1 interception, no touchdown passes. Jake Hudson has scored 2 touchdowns on the ground, 5 carries for 25 yards. Austin Smith, because of a 60-yard touchdown, is already at 100 yards in 12 carries on the ground. He had a nice first half. Receiving the football, Chad Steinwalks and Rob Wolferton have been the most popular targets. They've combined for 7 catches and 60 yards. On the other side, Capital has handed the football often to Nate Sean Hargrove. 11 touches for 70 yards, his long is 15. Thomas Wibbler, pretty impressive kid. He's thrown an interception, but was 11 for 14 for 130 and 3 scores through the air. Capital 12 first downs, BW 16. Time of possession favored BW by just about 2.5 minutes. Yellow Jackets 6 of 8 on third down. They've played very good football so far. The lead only by 3. Ready to start the second half on an awkward looking kick. And it's Capital from inside the 20. Nick Waters picks it up, goes over the 25, and that's that. We're joined once again by Nick Rizzo. Transition from Nick Waters to Nick Rizzo. All right, what do you want to see BW do here to start the second half from a defensive perspective?
Well, I think you need to get a stop right off the bat here. It doesn't have to be a 3 and out, but keep the field position in your favor. Don't let them get past the 50. That's a successful drive. And the one stat that stuck out to me just looking at these halftime stats, we had 1 punt by both teams.
It was a offensively dominated first half, no doubt about that. Each team with 1 punt, each team with 1 interception. But Capital could take the lead or at least tie the game if they can move up the field effectively here this first time out. That's a holding flag going to be thrown against Capital's left tackle, Zach Kennedy, who pretty much tackled Baldwin Wallace's Andy Schultz. And that'll wipe out a pretty good run from Hargrove.
That's a great start there. I mean, you didn't do anything, but a mistake by the offense like that really steps them behind. And now this is where you can get your 3 and out and be successful here.
So it's first and 20. 15-yard, or I should say 10-yard line of scrimmage. First down and 20 from the 17. And if you're Capital, I mean, you don't want to be facing a 20 yards to go situation, but given the way Wibbler can move the football, it's okay if it's still first down in their eyes. Good pressure from BW. Wibbler going to use his feet. And he gets past the original line of scrimmage all the way up to the 30 to bring up second down and 7 after that 13-yard. BW was so close to taking him down in the backfield, but Wibbler turns it into a 13-yard gain after Anton Richardson stopped it.
That's what happens when you play that man coverage. You know, everyone's got their backs turned. No one was open, so they did good job covering, but it leaves your defense susceptible for the quarterback run.
3 targets to the right, 1 wide to the left, and that's Waters on the top of the screen. Good pressure, dumped it off. Hargrove out of bounds after a pickup of 4. He's pushed out by Sean Nischwitz. You think about some of these names for BW defensively who've been mainstays over the last couple years. Andy Schultz, Wesley Spence, Sean Nischwitz, Sam Groff, Trip Washington, Kerry Sparrow, Ty Fields. It feels like they've all been playing for 3 years. And Baldwin Wallace is going to get hit by graduation at the end of the year on the defensive side, probably more heavily than on the offensive side. Capital facing a 3rd and 4 here with still 9 on the play clock. Good block, but a poor throw looking for Waters on the slant route. Covered pretty tightly by Ty Fields. Incomplete. And the Crusaders will punt the football.
Your defense there. You got them behind the change, on their mistake. But you gave up that first down play, but you held good for second and third, forcing the punt here. Good, solid first possession. Made the adjustments. You could see they were tougher on the edge. They brought some blitzes into those runs. They didn't actually run the ball, but it would have been into the run. So definitely an improvement there.
Punted away by Avery Wirt. Second punt of the game for him. I thought his first one was a pretty good kick. Nothing wrong with the second punt either. And now Capitals defense has to try and come up with a solution for the Yellow Jacket offense that moved down the field at will in the first half. 370 yards for BW on 41 plays. That's 9 yards per play. Granted, 45 of those yards came on the last play of the first half when BW on a Hail Mary threw it down as Hudson let it go as far as he could. The ball was caught by Leverett inside the 5, but not inside the end zone. That was really all Capital was concerned with. So maybe some yards that just sort of padded the stats a little bit, but either way, a big offensive day so far. On the triple option, Hudson reads the defense, decides to let it go, and it's a good decision. Greer around the corner is ripped down by Eric Strosky. First down, Yellow Jackets.
I think we need to get Greer the ball more in the second half. He's a big playmaker. He usually has big second halves the last few games. So let's see how much touches he gets in the second half.
25-yard run for Greer. Nigel Henderson is in the ball game at running back now, but before that play could get off,
Sorosky jumped.
Sorosky got a little bit of a head start.
A little bit of adversity here now with 1st and 15. You want to see this play get you at least back to the original line of scrimmage, hopefully 7-yard gain, so your 2nd and 8. That's a good successful play here.
BW checks in Brian Baranowski at tight end. Greer and Wolfington wide to the right. Leverett bottom of the screen. Leverett on the handoff. Nowhere to go, and somehow he still turns it into a small gain. Started to run out of real estate quickly. Picked up the yardage lost on the penalty, so it sets up 2nd down and 10 here.
He really flashed that all-OAC speed there when he got to the edge. Looked like he had nowhere to go. He had that second gear that he just got those 5 yards right on the boundary line. I don't know if the defense thought he was going out or what, but good pickup there.
Not only one of the fastest football players, but one of the conference track athletes. He's a sprinter for head coach Matthew Cole. Hudson doesn't have much time. He steps out of 2 sacks. Throws it toward Leverett, and it's a completion. Jake Hudson with a great job keeping the play alive, and Leverett came back to the football. First down, BW.
That was a great job of succeeding on a broken play there, but Capital was not fielded. We ran 2 stop and goes on the outside, and they didn't even flinch at the stop. Luckily, Jake Hudson found some time and was able to hit Leverett down the field. But the original stop by Capital, they read that right out of the beginning.
It's a 20-yard gain, easy for the referees because Leverett's 2 knees skidded on the turf and left a couple of marks inbounds. That was about as helpful as it could have been. All right, Hudson thinking about 6. Looking for Steinwalks. Touchdown, Baldwin Wallace.
That was just a perfect route there. The wheel route came in motion, kept going with it all the way through the corner of the end zone. Perfect ball, perfect execution, perfect response coming out of halftime.
Chad Steinwalks was a popular target against the Marietta Pioneers and the Wilmington Quakers. And Steinwalks has his first touchdown reception of the afternoon, his 6th of the season. Volmer on to try and make this a 10-point lead. And he does. So BW's offense continues to move quickly up the field. And I think Jake Hudson deserves a lot of credit for the last 2 plays on that drive.
You know, this is our first 2-possession lead for either team in this game. You wonder, we get a stop here, score, is that the knockout blow? So great response coming out of halftime. 10-point lead. You get a stop here, Capital's really second-guessing this game.
I think it's fair to wonder, but I think it's also, at least in that same idea, fair to point out that, hey, look, Thomas Wibbler can score quickly. I mean, they moved the ball up the field with no problem early in the game. And again, that's not to say that BW's defense can't step up, but boy, I wouldn't count Capital out with the way they throw the ball before that clock hits triple zeros. We've seen squib kick after squib kick this afternoon. Nick Waters looking to the 25-yard line. And will be stopped there. So Riley Jones continues to make it a little more interesting than you might otherwise see.
I don't think you could plan that far downfield, but that hop right at the end went right over the up man's head, just like perfectly. I don't think you can really plan that when it already taken 8 hops, but just kind of freaky play there.
It was kind of awkward. 11 minutes to go in the third quarter. BW by 10 at 31-21. After converting on their first couple of third downs, Capital 0 for 3 in their last 3 third down situations. No flag thrown, despite the fact that Ty Fields had his back to the quarterback. Capital looking for Dartavius Stanford. Reason I bring up the number there for the third downs for Capital, when they were moving the football up the field quickly early in the game, they weren't even facing third downs, let alone converting any.
The old coach's thing is you got to get off the field on third down. Well, you can't get off the field on third down if there's no third downs. So,
ain't that the truth? And for Capital, they need the 35 to move the chains. They'll try to get back to their early game success running the football, but it'll have to wait till next play. BW with a great tackle in the backfield from Tejano Arocho.
You know, that second Union offensive line we've gone to, or defensive line we've gone to these last few possessions, we didn't start off the half of them, but it's a smaller unit and it's quicker, and it's really giving this offensive front trouble. It's not the starters, so I don't know if they weren't ready for this package that came in, but it seems like when this package is in, we're getting pressure, we're getting stops in the backfield. Continue if this, it looks like they're bringing 3 here. Let's see if they get the rush like they did at the end of the half, right before it's coming.
Arocho is a freshman defensive lineman from Florida. We haven't seen much of him this year. Good throw over the middle of the field. Wow, that's an incompletion, and I have to be honest, I think BW got away with one because Barnett clearly got hit before the football got to him. Interference. Maybe fortunate there, they got away with one.
Well, we had 1 punt in the first half. This is already our second punt in as many possessions in the second half. So adjustments have definitely been made on the defensive side of the ball.
Fourth down and 11. Work down the middle of the field this time. Yellow Jackets lost the football. Ty Gallo coughs it up. And Capital with a big takeaway.
That's tough to swallow there. You just made 2 stops coming out of halftime. You already have a 10-point lead. You're going to get the ball in great field position with a chance to make it a 3-score lead. That's a tough fumble to swallow. We'll see if the defense can pick up the punt returner. Get a big stop here, but pick up their teammates here.
10-point lead for the Jackets, 31-21. 10 minutes left in the third quarter.
Sudden change defense.
Let's see if Wibbler tries to go for a knockout blow here quickly. He's already thrown 1 long touchdown pass. 3-step drop, dumps it off with pressure coming quickly. And it turns into a nice gain, 7 yards, after Wibbler had gotten tackled behind the line of scrimmage by Patrick Gregory after he let go of the football.
He's lucky to avoid roughing the passer there. While he made contact as he was throwing the ball, that excessive power drive to the ground sometimes gets called. So lucky to avoid that.
Sean Hargrove picks up 7, 2nd and 3 from inside the 40. 9:27 left third quarter. Wibbler, quick out to the right side. Barnett makes the catch. Does a little dance and gets out of bounds for a first down. Picks up 10 yards, and Capital has a fresh set of downs.
Capital got some new energy off that fumble. They're definitely looking to capitalize here.
Wibbler already an OAC Player of the Week, and he is working on another big afternoon. First and 10, Hargrove looking for the edge. BW is doing a much better job defending the run outside the box in this second half, as Hargrove goes backwards for a couple.
Definitely was a key emphasis at halftime there, to set that edge. Don't allow them to get outside the tackle box. Good loss of 3 there. I think they got to go back to Barnett on this play. That's been their most successful play. Let's see, he's up top there.
Dylan Schoonover checks in the pistol. Second down and 13 with 5 on the play clock. Jackets showing pressure near left side. Wibbler identifies it. Handful of jersey, but the pass was thrown over Stanford's head, incomplete.
They're definitely letting them play out there today, which is always nice to see. Just kind of let the athletes be athletes. You know, a little bit of contact there. But I don't really think it had an effect on the play, so I think it's a great no call. But you got to be careful of those. It's really at the ref's discussion. Technically, it is a foul, so he could have thrown that ball, but I think he made the right decision.
It's another third and long situation for Capital. This time, third and 13. 8:16 left third quarter. Crusaders down 10. Wibbler out of the pocket. He's got an open man, but he misses Barnett. Threw it out of bounds about halfway deep in the end zone, and Capital lets one roll. That one kind of slipped through their fingers, and now they've got to go for it in what they feel like is 4-down territory. The Crusaders need the 20-yard line for a first down. It is 4th and 13.
Not sure if they have it in their playbook, but one of those QB punts, this is a good field possession for that.
Wibbler started 11 for 12. He is now 14 for 22. So he has not been effective over his last 10 throws. BW only rushes 3. Wibbler's up in the pocket. He's past the line of scrimmage. He has to run. He pays for it. BW gives up a handful of yards, but I'm perplexed at his decision. I thought maybe he had a chance to let it go downfield a little bit. Instead, Capital gives it away on downs.
I think he's feeling that pressure. Even they didn't get to him there. They weren't even that close to getting him to that play. But they have been constantly this half. So I think his internal clock is, I got to get out, I got to get out. And I think that's what happened there. So he tried to make the best of it. Probably had some more time in the pocket if he just stepped up. But that's what pressure does. It gets the quarterback antsy. It gets them making bad decisions. It gets them out of the pocket. And they're only bringing 3 with that group. And they're doing a great job of just being their man one-on-one.
First and 10 for Hudson as Greer motions into the backfield. Hudson shovel passes it, and Greer picks it up just inside the 25 as a couple of bodies go flying after the play is over. No flags thrown. Some other scores from around the conference. Mount Union leads Otterbein 37-7 in the third. It's late third quarter. Heidelberg 24, Wilmington 7. Ohio Northern's hung a couple more touchdowns on Marietta and taken the lead back. Now 21-13 Polar Bears. Trying to get you John Carroll and Muskingum here shortly. Hudson on 2nd and 6. Throws off his back foot, incomplete to the far side.
Got away with one there. You don't want to throw that in the traffic there like that.
So 3rd and 6 for BW. They need the 32.
Capital needs the stop. Let's see what they bring here. Looks like they might bring some pressure coming after Hudson. They brought it the first 2 down, so I'd expect it to be a third too.
On 3rd and 6, Greer running a drag route. Hudson with a flag down back by the line of scrimmage, throws it behind Mike Carbon, incomplete. It brings up 4th and 6.
They ended up retreating on that blitz. They only brought 4, but they did a good job of beating their mans one-on-one. They knew it had to be a pass with 3rd and long, so they kind of gave up their run responsibilities and caused the hold.
Well, we think it's a hold, but we'll wait for the official signal here. It appears to be on BW. Shot block on 2 different players, Clayton Stanton and Dale Hazard, both flagged.
Yeah, what they did there, they did the old high-low. One of them engaged the defender. The other one didn't notice and cut him. So anytime there's that contact high and low, automatic flag for player safety, which it's a good penalty because that's where you can really get hurt. When you're focused on someone engaged up top and someone goes at your knee, you're completely vulnerable. So that's a good safety call there. It sucks to happen against an offense, but...
Well, the Jackets are faced with a 4th and 6 either way, and they punt the football for the first time today. Waters for the 35, wrapped up by Wesley Spence. What an open field tackle. Halfway through the 3rd quarter, BW 31, Capital 21, and the Jackets are playing with a lot more life on the defensive side of the football. By the way, we told you we'd get you the one other score going on in the conference. It's John Carroll hosting Muskingum this afternoon. Blue Streaks lead the Muskies 17-0 in a game that neither team really has much offense. Each team with only 130 yards total in the first half, but Muskingum 2 rushing yards. It's been tough for them to move the football today. Wibbler looking over the middle, throws it a double coverage, and Trip Washington has a 2-interception afternoon.
Yeah, I don't know what he was looking at there. That guy wasn't even close to being open. I mean, there was no shot at him catching that ball. Great play by Washington.
One play, and Capital gives it right back. Well, in a game that had some serious fireworks early on, some of the mistakes on both sides have set in. Each quarterback threw an interception in the first half, and neither one of them were good plays. Capital did not convert on a 4th down fake punt. They missed it on a measurement by about 2 inches. As Hudson goes back to work. Tried to throw it, that might be a fumble. Well, they quickly rule it incomplete as Lowry came back to the football. So Capital did not convert on a fake 4th down punt. The Yellow Jackets were able to get a field goal out of that. BW here in the 3rd quarter coughed up a fumble and turned the ball over when Capital had punted the football away. So both teams have made some mistakes. But right now BW with a 10-point lead. They've got the ball and they could maybe extend this lead if they score here.
I'd like to see more ball security out of BW here. They're getting kind of careless with the ball, even getting away with it, but...
Little screen pass to Lowry, who was hit from behind. Problem was, from Capital's perspective, they hit him forward. And it turns into a 9-yard gain to set up 3rd down and 1.
He had a great spin move there to free him up for at least 4 or 5 more yards. It was phenomenal. 3rd and 1 here. I'd like to see him get out on the edge with a run.
It's a full 1 yard for BW. At least that's what they need. Henderson, the fake handoff. They throw to Steinwalks instead. 1st down across midfield. BW is able to keep the drive moving. Heidelberg, Northern, Otterbein, and John Carroll all entered the day with records of 4-2 in conference play. Heidelberg, Northern, and Otterbein all 5-2 overall. John Carroll 4-3. The Blue Streaks have a Week 10 meeting with Mount Union. Of course, Mount Union is pounding Otterbein today.
Wow.
Lowry off his back foot. Wolfington, touchdown. 48 yards and a beauty.
I mean, the throw is one thing. Great throw. He catches that in the backfield, one-handed, avoiding a fumble. That easily could have been a fumble going the other way. Turns out it's 6 points after a great play. That's all on Lowry. That's just unbelievable. That's one of the best plays of the season, if not the best. That was something else.
5:36 left in the third quarter. The Jackets have a 37-21 lead. Bulmer makes it 38.
It's a nice luxury to have when one of your leading rushers is also backup quarterback. Allows for those trick plays to happen. Keeps the defense on their toes constantly.
Isn't that the truth? One of the kinds of days where Baldwin Wallace has just done very little that hasn't gone their way. Sometimes it's been because they've had some trick plays. A couple times they've just lined up and tried to have a numerical advantage. But when you start talking about the big days offensively that BW's had this season, the wins over Marietta and Wilmington at home certainly come to mind. They're adding another banner day here this afternoon.
Second halves has been something else for BW, just in general all year.
Jackets now have 500 yards of offense, and we still have 5.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Waters gets up near the 30 after a couple of yellow helmets probably left some marks on white jerseys. BW did a great job there in the special teams. Robert Androina delivered a pretty impressive hit.
This game reminds me a lot of the Marietta game earlier in the year here, where it was tough going the first half. Both teams went back and forth. In the second half, BW went in the locker room, made some key adjustments, and just ran away with it. I think they scored on their last 6 possessions in the second half there, or the first 6 possessions in the second half against Marietta. But here, doing the opposite with defense. Now they've done 3 straight stops, looking for a 4th. Let's see if they can keep that up, get this lead, swell it up, and put the game away.
Capital back to work. Wibbler on the fake. Guns it to an open receiver, and now all of a sudden, Wibbler has just kind of gotten in a funk where he can't quite figure out his accuracy issues. That ball obviously was incomplete, but Nick Waters, I mean, he had kind of like dived backwards for the ball. He never really had a chance for it.
I really think it goes back to the pressure that's been produced here lately. While they didn't have much pressure on that play. His feet, he was not in good feet stance. He was nervous. I think he's feeling the pressure even though it's not there. It's in his head. He's just not settled in the pocket like he was in the first half, just picking us apart.
On 2nd and 10, Wibbler steps up in the pocket, avoids some pressure, and now runs with it. He's got the first down diving over the 40, despite the fact that he got hit a couple of times there on the way down. I'm interested in your perspective. Is it Wibbler is getting happy feet and not trusting his line, and so he's running into situations where he has to hurry and throw because he's out of the pocket? Or is it the offensive line right now is just not adjusting well to BW's different stunts defensively?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. They have not addressed to this new substitution that we've done up front at all. I don't know if they had no idea it was coming or what. They're not picking up the stunts. They're not even bringing pressure, BW. They're just doing 4 3-down linemen and coming after them, as you see a big defensive stop there. But once that happens a couple times and he gets hit in the pocket, quarterbacks start thinking, like, I don't want to kick these hits. So they see anyone flash, and they leave. So I think that's a big key that happened. That's why pressure's so key in football. Even the times you don't get there, it still affects the quarterback in the back of his head, which allows him to be inaccurate, to get out of the pocket earlier, to make bad decisions. So I think it's a little bit of both, but I think he needs to calm down the pocket here, mostly.
2nd down and 10 for the Crusaders. Wibbler got smoked as he threw a deep ball. Incomplete. A lot of contact, but that one was thrown well out of bounds as Wibbler had to hurry up and try and put that one up in the air. Again, he got blitzed on the play. Wesley Spence bringing a lot of heat. So was Andy Schultz.
They seem to be bringing pressures more on first and second down and dropping back on third down, which is kind of the opposite of a lot of defensive coordinators out there. They usually bring the pressure on third down to force a play, but BW seems to be doing the opposite here.
And yet I think that's a good adjustment because Capital was really having a lot of success on first and second down. So if you can bring pressure early in the downs, then it puts them in third and long situations, which inherently have pressure. Like this. Hardgrove, nowhere to go.
I just don't get that play calls for Capital. I just got done saying they haven't been bringing pressure on third down. They're only sending 3 guys. That means you got 8 guys back just waiting for that screen pass. Screen passes are best against pressure, and they know they're not bringing I just don't understand that play call. They outcoached themselves right there. They didn't give themselves a shot at getting that first down.
4th down and 10. Avery Wirt back out to punt. Hardly seen any of him in the beginning of the game, and now he's becoming a popular figure. Avery Wirt got smoked, but because he had dropped the football, there's no roughing the punter or roughing the kicker call. He was lucky to get the football away. I don't know if
it got blocked.
The ball slipped out of his hand or what happened on the original drop. But then when he was forced to kick it, there was a real skirmish there as he went to kick it, some pressure. The ball was deflected, and it quickly went BW's way.
Yeah, the last 3 snaps that long snappers made have been low, and that one was even lower. And I don't even know if it got to him. It may have hopped or short hopped him. It was one of those plays like a shortstop in MOB. You know, you got to read that short hop. It's a lot of times what eats them up. That's what eat up the punter there. And the Jackets got there in time to deflect it, and then showed up as a 13, 14-yard punt.
Jordan Leverett in the slot on the left-hand side. Hudson looking his way, and he throws him a bomb down the middle. Leverett makes the catch and then drops the football as he came down with it. Incomplete. Tough break. It was right in his breadbasket.
Yeah, absolutely. You like them to come down with that. I don't know if it's the weather. You know, that ball is pretty hard to catch when it's cold like this. But BW ran 3 double moves there. All 3 wide receivers went with a double move. They were definitely looking to get that score and put this thing away. But I think they'd be more successful if they had a nice slow drive here. Take the rest of the 3 minutes off of this quarter, maybe a minute or 2 off the 4th.
Well, they already lead by 17 points. On 2nd and 10, Hudson back to the air. Wolfington inbounds, and he's dragged down with a fistful of jersey from Jake Lindsay.
Kind of a veteran move there with a little bit of a push off. Doesn't get called because he didn't extend his arms completely. That's where you usually get in trouble, is when you get that full extension. But good veteran move to kind of get himself some space to make that catch.
1st and 10 from Capitals 39.
Double move.
Great pump fake, and he sold it well with a flag coming back in right around the 26. Wolfington almost came away with a long pass as Will Vance comes on for Wolfington. He's a little slow to get up.
Yeah, Kane Murray saved a touchdown that play by holding him. It would have, he got beat so bad. Was it Kane Murray or was it Connor McLeod maybe? But definitely saved the touchdown. I didn't give a number there. But he was beat, so he just held on for dear life, caused a disruption. That sometimes, you know, they're a small penalized team, but most of the times penalties are a bad thing. That time it saved a touchdown, so good heads-up football there.
1st and 10 from the 29 after the 10-yard penalty. Greer into the backfield. Austin Smith up the middle. And Capital sniffed that one out. They've got some good linebacking play today from Austin White, who's come up sometimes lining up as a linebacker, sometimes dropping back a little deeper, almost like he's playing as a defensive back. Here he'll line up outside of the box. 2nd down and 10 coming.
Yeah, Lowry's in the backfield there, flanked next to Hudson. Look for him to get the ball here somehow, some way.
Lowry running out to the right. Hudson's eyes are over the middle. He got smoked. And he did not throw a touchdown pass. There's a flag in the backfield. LaShawn Sanders is called for the what I assume will be a personal foul. Sanders did not hit Hudson in the head, but Hudson took a violent hit.
That's a tough call to swallow as a defender. You'll take it as an offense, but I don't know if he did hit him in the head maybe. I didn't think that was late. I thought it was as he was releasing the ball. But, you know, a violent hit like that seems to trigger a flag in football nowadays with emphasis on player safety.
I can see where they call it unnecessary roughness, but roughing the passer leaves me scratching my head a little bit. Either way, the flag came out quickly, and because it was inside the 30, it's half the distance to the goal, and the ball will be placed just inside the 15.
To be anything, I thought they committed defensive pass interference on that play, but either way, 15 yards inside the red zone here for the Yellow Jackets.
Hudson looking for the end zone. It's Darian Greer, the target. Capital breaks it up because it went off Cole Carter's shoulder pads.
Yeah, he put that ball in the long location. That ball had to be on the pylon, that back pylon there. And he kind of underthrew him a little bit inside, allowing the defender who was beat to make up for it, even though he didn't really intend to hit him in the back, but definitely allowed that closing speed there to become a factor.
Well, let's keep our eye on Hudson as the game continues, just to make sure that he's okay, because he did go down pretty hard. I thought his head snapped back a little bit. Right side, and he makes a good gain out of it. The fact is, BW is closing in on 60 offensive plays. They eclipsed 500 yards on the day with 5.5 minutes left in this third quarter. We're now just inside 2 minutes. But the Jackets still lead by 17, and if they can get in the end zone here, it's going to put Capital in a brutally tough spot.
3rd and 3 here inside the 10-yard line. We've seen a lot of QB runs here. Let's see if he sticks with that or changes it up.
Hudson rolling left, throwing. Greer catches and scores. Touchdown, Yellow Jackets.
That sprint out play has been pretty popular in football this year, especially not just for the Yellow Jackets, but all around college and pro football. I feel like it works good. What it does is it cuts the field in half for the quarterback, gives him some easy reads. But especially with the presence of a QB run there that we've had earlier in the game, I think it drew the defenders in for the run, allowing Gear to get in the back there. Easy touchdown, pitch and catch.
All of a sudden, it seems like everybody's having a good day for Baldwin Wallace. Brandon Vollmer connects on the extra point. Jake Hudson did not have a first-half touchdown pass, but he has gone to the air several times here in the second half. And BW with 3 aerial touchdowns here since the break. Steinwachs, Wolfington, and Greer all finding the end zone. It's now 45-21 with 90 seconds left in the third quarter.
Game definitely escalated there. Third quarter, it was 21-24 coming out of halftime. And BW's defense really clamped up, made the difference so far. Looking like they're in the position to win now. They can hold on in fourth quarter. They're undefeated when leading after 3 quarters on the season. I don't expect that to change tonight.
Well, it's been a nightmare of a third quarter for Capital. What's been so different for them, other than maybe the quarterback play? And I know we've talked about, how Wiggler's been rushed a lot, but I mean, look, they moved the football however they wanted to early in the game, and since then, nothing.
Well, I think it goes back to we're setting the edge a lot better. While they haven't run the ball very much this half because they've been behind the chains so much.
Waters from his own goal line. He goes up the middle and up to the 25. Sorry to cut you off, partner.
Yeah, no problem. We've been stopping them on first down. That's the key. On those short runs, we're stuffing them at the line of scrimmage, which puts them behind the chains, which makes the pressure more significant on second down, causing them third and longs. That was the key in the first half. They didn't have third downs, let alone third and longs. Now we're stopping them on first and second down, making them go deep into the playbook, cutting it in half. You know they're throwing the ball, and you know they're throwing it 5+ yards. So that allows your defense to basically just keen in. Your pass rushers are going ears back, right at the quarterback. Defense allowed to play the wide receivers.
With Hargrove on the sideline, it's Dylan Schoonover that takes the first handoff this drive.
They got a late call here. Not sure what. The back judge threw it. Not the back judge, but the far back ref. That is the back judge, my bad. He threw that 20 yards away from the play, so I don't know what he saw, but he saw it. He was advocate about it.
Schoonover only carried the ball 20 times entering today. Unnecessary roughness called against Nick Waters, and it backs Capital up 15 yards to set up what I believe will be
is that a dead ball?
It's
or?
a dead ball personal foul. It means the down counts. So it'll be 2nd down and 20. Actually, I beg your pardon.
He's leaving it
I said
first,
that.
yeah.
I said that incorrectly. I beg your pardon. Dead ball means it's from the spot of the foul at the end of the play.
And they just changed, the down marker just changed. It changes pretty late. So there must have been a late hit or something there. Back judge saw it right away. I mean, he came storming in. Maybe fastest guy of the day today.
2nd down and 21. And it's timeout Capital. I think maybe they were a little confused too. Usually when it's a dead ball foul, I thought they, the play counts and then the penalty comes, it's enforced thereafter. So I thought all along it was going to be 2nd, but you're right, it was a late change by the sticks on the far side. Now we're getting it all straightened away, but Capital's trying to get their head back in order. BW's up 45-21. We expected that this would be a high-scoring game after the way it started, but I don't think we expected one team to completely disappear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're just getting frustrated now, because that's a killer penalty there. You finally get ahead of the chains. You have it all second half. Finally get a decent first down play, and you blow it on an unnecessary roughness. Now giving your team, 2nd and 15, or 2nd and 21, even worse. So now you basically need a big play here to even give yourself any chance.
Well, BW was down 21-14, and they have hung 31 unanswered points on the board. Wibbler on the run. Waters catches it off his shoestrings, and Trip Washington, who's already got 2 interceptions today, adds a big-time hit to his tally.
That's just great read. He saw the sprint out. And while the sprint out is great for the quarterback because it limits half of his field, it's also great for the defense because it limits half of the field. You know it's coming to that side of the field, so you can come down hard on those routes and know that you're safe over the top. I don't think any quarterback can make that throw off his back foot across the field. And if he does, it's usually a pick. So basically eliminates half the field.
3rd and 18 after a 3-yard gain. Capital needs the 36-yard line. And Wibbler can't even move the football back to the line of scrimmage. Continued pressure from Sekou Imani and Andy Schultz. And Wibbler's down in a heap.
Again, just a 3-man rush. The offensive line, I think it's in their heads now. I think they know they can't stop them, and they're not stopping them. Well, this different look that they're bringing. Another interesting thing on that third down was Ty Fields was playing a safety position when he's usually a corner. I don't know. I didn't check if someone came out of the game with an injury or something, or that was just a defensive adjustment. But he was definitely playing safety on that play.
I wonder if that was just because maybe he's their best athlete, and they wanted him to sort of play center field, keep everything in front of it. Either way, that's the last play of the 3rd quarter. And Baldwin Wallace had a 3-point lead at halftime, and now they have a 24-point lead. 45-21. It's about to start the 4th quarter. Today's Yellow Jacket football game is being presented by the Oswald Company for all of your risk management and insurance needs. By Medical Mutual of Ohio, official healthcare provider of Baldwin Wallace University. And by Comfort Inn in Middleburg Heights, where your comfort is just a part of the service we provide our guests. Capital forced to punt from inside their own red zone. Darian Greer is standing just onto his side of midfield to return this kick from Avery Wirt. It's a high, short kick. And it goes out of bounds on the Capital sideline as BW gets ready to take over. And again, they will have a very manageable field position to work with.
34-yard line. I'd like to see him develop the run here. It's 4th quarter. Waste some time off the clock. Use the whole play clock. wear down this defense even more. Touchdown here, it puts the game away pretty much. So let's take off. You're at the 34, so it's tough to take out a lot of time, but if you can get this under 10 minutes with a touchdown, you feel pretty good about yourself.
Baldwin Wallace trying to get their personnel correct. Nigel Henderson, the new tailback. Henderson takes the ball off to the left-hand side, and a nice open field tackle once more by Austin White. Came up from his safety spot there. 2nd down and 8 after a 2-yard pickup. Baranowski comes out, replaced by a wide receiver, Ty Ramsier. Wolfington and Gallo split to the right. Ramsier and Stein walks to the left. 2nd and 8, the pistol look. Screen out to Gallo, who fumbled on the punt return earlier and might have made up for some of that with a nice gain here down to the 26.
And while that is a forward pass, that works just the same as a run. Just get your defender out in space easier. It allows the clock to run off. High percentage, completion percentage on that. So 3rd and 1 here. Someone took a injured Capital defender on the field. So 3rd and 1, you look to run the ball here. It's probably 2-down territory here. Not because so much you're worried about scoring, but more about time of possession, keeping them off the field.
A look around the OAC with the injury here to Capital's Derek Ibon. Mount Union leads Otterbein after 3 quarters, 44-7. Heidelberg on top of Wilmington this afternoon, 37-14. They're in the middle of the 4th quarter. Early 4th quarter in Ada. Ohio Northern 28, Marietta 21. John Carroll and Muskingum are playing over in University Heights this afternoon. And unless that was the fastest game of all time, considering it kicked off at 1:30, I don't know how they could be done yet, but John Carroll has a 17-0 lead over Muskingum. I think they're having problems with their stats. Meanwhile, this one chucked up toward Gallo on the sideline, but it's out of bounds and incomplete.
Don't get the pass there, but it looks like they're staying on the field for 4th down.
BW kind of in that no man's land range. JCU has a 24-0 lead over the Fighting Muskies. They are early in the 4th quarter in University Heights. 4th down and 2 with Austin Smith now on the left-hand side. Just providing a little protection. Nice play. Good throw, but looks like the ball popped free. Incomplete. Hudson threw while on the run, looking to the far side for Greer, and he just couldn't quite connect with it.
Yeah, the ground definitely caused that incompletion there. Just couldn't hold on with the contact with the ground.
BW 45, Capital 21, early 4th quarter in what at one point was a 21-14 Capital lead. And somehow this game has just totally gotten away from the Crusaders. Capital goes back to work with Wibbler still in the ball game. It started as a terrific day for him. Capital only has 2 first downs in the 2nd half. And on their first down play, they barely get past the line of scrimmage. Capital 52 plays for 253 yards. At halftime, they'd run 31 plays for $195. So they've had virtually no offense in the 2nd half. They've only got 2 first downs since halftime. And most of it has been their ineffectiveness early in the series. When you're not moving the ball on 1st and 2nd down, forces tough 3rd downs. Nick Waters can't hang on to that one. Nice job by Fields to get his hands up in the way, maybe distract him a little bit. 2 minutes gone in the 4th quarter, and BW is up by 24. Defensively, they have a 3rd and 9 coming.
You know, all the balance we talked about Capital having in the first half, the run and pass, that's all out the window now. Now you're down 24 points early in the fourth quarter, being behind the chains mostly. They're passing on every down. So it allows the pass rush to get there quicker. Defenders know it's only one-dimensional.
Another three-man rush on 3rd and 9. Wibbler throws off his back foot to the far sideline where Schoonover makes the catch and runs for the first down.
Someone just forgot about him there. I'm not sure who blew the coverage, but they just let him by himself. Bringing an extra defensive back into the game. They had an extra linebacker in there on that last down. I think he's the one that allowed the back to get out free.
Crusaders trying to get everything squared away. Wibbler looking for the matchup he likes, and it's a completion down the far sideline. Stanford makes the catch despite being interfered with.
Nice one-handed catch there. It's nice to see him still playing tough, even though score is not what they want it to be.
Nice job by Dartavius Stanford on the far side of the field. All right, 1st and 10 Capital. They are looking for their first points here in the second half. They're trying to somehow make this feel a little better. Wibbler zings it over the middle, incomplete.
A little high there. May have had a touchdown if you got that just a little bit lower.
Yeah, I think you're right. They definitely ran the route they liked. Barnett running it over the middle. Barnett has already scored twice this afternoon. He had the first 2 touchdowns. Stanford scored the 3rd one. 2nd and 10 for Capital on a cold, windy, quiet afternoon in Berea.
We have that rush man package in.
Wibbler wanted to run with it. Shed a tackler in Sekou Imani, and then picked up an extra few yards. That was pretty impressive toughness from Capital's quarterback.
Third and 5 here, definitely 2-down territory. So the run's still in play here, but you gotta be prepared to stop them for 2 more downs here.
Third and 5. Waters and Barnett to the left. Schoonover goes out wide to the right now in the slot. Wibbler feeling the heat. Over to the right, he's got room to go. Lowers his shoulder, and he takes a big hit inside the 5. Stopped by Andy Schultz. 1st and goal coming for Capital.
BW bringing in some size up front here with the short yardage situation. See if they can get a push up front. Barnett's out wide. He is open for a slant coming down the middle. There's a huge gap there.
And they scored on that play early in the 2nd quarter.
Yeah, he went with the fade this time, but they ran it up the middle.
Instead, they run it up the middle for a touchdown. Signal comes from the near side official. Flags thrown after the play is over. Hunter Smith lost his helmet. The officials are sorting out what's going on, but at the moment, it is a Capital touchdown.
They ran that exact same formation for I think it was their first touchdown of the game, where they isolated the cornerback one-on-one out wide, faked the run in the first half through the slant. This time the exact opposite. They handed it off for a touchdown, but also had the receiver run a fade. So it keeps the defender on it. That's a tough formation to beat there. Looks like they're...
Yeah, I think they're going to assess the penalty on the kickoff. All right, so it's officially called against Wesley Spence.
This game's getting a little chippy here, so you kind of want to keep your cool here, especially the lead's not over yet, but the lead with where it is, you don't want stupid penalties They cause you to blow a drive or give them more momentum to allow them to come back or get yourself kicked out for another game. So kind of keep cool heads here.
10:37 left in the game, and Capital's extra point, albeit rather ugly, up and good. So it's back to a 17-point game, 45-28. Baldwin Wallace has had a good offensive day, maybe on the verge of a great offensive day. Chad Rogaszewski is trying to figure out how he can beat BW for the second year in a row, but his team will have to do it in comeback fashion.
Time of possession is really key here in this now in the fourth quarter of 10:37 left. You don't want to give Capital the ball back with anything more than 5 minutes left after this drive. Anything less, you're in good shape because most likely you get the ball back with under 2 minutes, either forcing them to call their timeouts if they haven't used them before, or be able to run the clock out. Definitely look for an onside kick here with the free 15 yards.
Yeah, BW's bringing the hands team out on the field, so you're seeing a lot of the guys that can handle the football pretty well. Come on out. High Fields is running out of the field holding his helmet in his hand. Flicks his hair back. Does that a lot. All right, it's an onside kick for Capital, and a nice job by Ramsey. Falls on the football at the 35-yard line. That was kind of an easy decision. Really even much of a gamble for Capital.
Now we've got most of our returns out, minus the holding and blocking the back penalties, to the 35. When they kick it deep, so basically you're not even gambling anything at this point. That was a no-brainer decision.
All right, so Capital stops that 31-0 run by Baldwin Wallace with a touchdown a couple of moments ago. Now the Yellow Jackets offensively go back to work.
I'd like to see a heavy dose of Austin Smith here.
Hope you're enjoying our coverage this afternoon. First down and 10. Austin Smith up the middle.
Exactly what you need there. 4 or 5 yards. That's all you need at a time in this time of the game. Use the whole play clock here. There's no rush. You want to snap. You want to get set with about 8 seconds left in the play clock here and snap it with under 5. It's right in Hudson's view, so it should not be an issue. Just going to watch that all the way tick down.
Clock tumbles just underneath 10 minutes here in the fourth quarter. Darian Greer on the sweep. Good blocking from Austin Smith, and Greer's able to cross the 45. He picks up 4 yards. It's third and short coming. The third and a full 1 yard. Here comes Will Vance and Matt Lowry, along with Rob Wolfington. So you've got 3 guys on the field that are capable of throwing the ball. But with Hudson out there, you'll see him line up at quarterback. Lowry's also run the football a pretty good number of times.
Look for the swing pass, Lowry here.
Lowry's in motion. He catches a swing pass. Wants to cut back to the middle.
Got it.
And on a second and third effort, he crosses the yard to gain. Picks up 2 on 3rd and 1, and that's a first down. Great effort by Lowry.
No, that's the winning effort you need right there. He knows I get a first down here. That's an automatic 2 minutes off the clock, basically. So, without them calling timeouts. So, easy. They should now get this with 6 minutes left, looking for another third down if they run this, or they could obviously get first downs if they get extra plays. But guarantees basically 2 minutes off the clock.
Same formation. This time they run the football with Austin Smith up the middle instead of throwing a swing pass. No gain. Actually, they give him a gain of a yard. Second down and 9 coming. Mount Union hangs 50 on Otterbein. It's 51-7. Purple Raiders way out front.
They took that yard away. I don't know why, but they put it back.
That was kind of strange.
With 15 seconds on the play clock. No rush. Just let it tick away. Clock is your friend right now.
That's Darian Greer, whose jersey is pulled up. Austin Smith spins away into the second level. Still on his feet down to the 25. It is a 25-yard gain down to the 27. First down BW inside 8 minutes to play.
Can't be snapped, yeah.
Hard count from Hudson. I thought maybe the right side of the offensive line almost started leaning there a little bit.
Yeah, I don't even know the point of the hard snap there. No one knows. Everyone knows you're not snapping the ball.
Greer motions into the backfield. Nigel Henderson
Stay in bounds.
out to the outside. He's thinking about 6 and he's in. 27 yards. Nigel Henderson and a BW touchdown.
That just about puts the game away right there.
First Henderson, and BW has gone over 50 today.
Second time they reached the 50-point mark this season. Last was against Marietta. Look to match that score of 52 if they hit this extra point. They do.
Bullseye. Still 7 minutes and 8 seconds left to go in the game. Well, in their wins this year, BW's had no problem scoring points. 42 points against Defiance, 52 against Marietta, now 52 against Capital. Even in the games that have been a little more tightly contested, 38 points against Wilmington. They put up 23 on Muskingum, but it's the defense that has kind of let them down in some of those other tougher games. And you start thinking about what the Jackets can do, given that they've already lost 3 games and how many teams are ahead of them. I think the idea of trying to get an at-large bid into the playoffs is probably unlikely at this point. A win today for Mount Union, and they are almost to that point, but a win for today for Mount Union will essentially wrap up the conference. So the Yellow Jackets are not going to make the playoffs in 2017 as Riley Jones kicks it down the field. That is fumbled. Picked up by Schoonover, and he'll be stopped right around the 25. Start thinking about what it would take for BW to get back to the postseason. Of course, we visited with one of the members of the 1978 national champion Yellow Jackets at halftime, Tim Robinson. It'll be the 40th anniversary of that historic championship season next fall. BW has not been to the D3 national playoffs in a little over a decade.
I think they've taken some strides to getting back there this year. Even though they'll probably come up short, there were definitely some improvements from last year. They're on track. This will be their 5th win of the year, which one more win gives them a winning season, coming off only 3 wins last year. Definitely improvement with building blocks under Coach Hilbert. He'll get more recruits of his own in here next year. So I expect to jump even more again next year. I think you'll be knocking on the conference doors with Mount Union within the next 2 years here. So definitely a good building year this year. A lot to build off of.
Baldwin Wallace last in the D3 playoffs in 2003. Second down and 10. Wibbler over the middle, and it goes right through the hands of his tight end, Trey Reese. Incomplete. Wibbler has been hit or hurried almost every play the whole second half.
Yes, and Trip Washington was inches there away from his 3rd interception of the game. He's had a heck of a game back there in the secondary. Secondary in a whole has really picked up with the help of the press. Second half, those receivers are tightly covered. Even though Wibbler was gained his spots earlier in the game, that's pretty much closed up here in the second half.
On 3rd and 10. Wibbler on the run. Caught on the far side. And this Capital Crusader team is just not going to give in as Stanford comes up with a big catch. You can't fall asleep when Capital can strike that quickly. Their problem is they may have fallen too far behind here with 6 minutes and 37 seconds left in the game. But Wibbler's thrown for 247 yards and 3 touchdowns. Back to the air. Back to Barnett. And Barnett into the end zone for the 3rd time this afternoon. 9 catches for Barnett. He's got 99 receiving yards. Dartavius Stanford, 4 catches for 140 yards. And they have scored 4 combined touchdowns.
Looks like they're going for 2 points here.
If they can successfully go for 2, it would make it 52-36 and make it a 2-score game.
Little miscommunication here. They got it covered, though, it looks like.
Wibbler back of the end zone, and it's incomplete.
You gotta like the fight out of Capital, though, knowing they're down 3 scores late in the game, still fighting for it, not rolling over, kind of catching BW, I think, off guard. I think they kind of thought that last touchdown kind of sealed the deal. They kind of relaxed on defense, lost a little bit of that edge, drove right down the field and scored. So look for another onside kick here.
I agree. There's no reason for Capital not to try another onside kick. 52-34. It's an 18-point lead, which means it's still a 3-possession lead for BW. 6:25 to go in the game. Thomas Wibbler, 20 of 35 for 286 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 Trip Washington interceptions. Of his 20 completions, again, 13 have been caught by Stanford and Barnett, which is certainly what you expect from Capital.
So the first, let's see what he tries here.
Got across the 45. It's a high bouncing ball, and it comes down right into BW's hands. Ty Ramsey for the 2nd straight time comes up with it. That was well designed, well executed, and nearly recovered by Capital.
No, he did a much better job of kicking that ball there. The first one, I think, kind of he just missed hit. This one definitely got that, that you're looking for that 2nd or 3rd bounce to go up above the and get a jump ball action on the sideline. But Ty Ramsey did a good job of going and grabbing that ball at its highest point, not allowing for a scrum. Looks like we have backup quarterbacks in, so backups are in for the BW offense.
Well, at this point in the game, probably nothing wrong with that, as Henderson, who scored last time out, takes the football over midfield. John Kromalik, now in at quarterback for the Yellow Jackets. He is a senior from Copley High School. Kromalik hasn't gotten a ton of playing time this year, but he does find himself in the game every once in a while. Technically, he's played every game because he is the holder. But in terms of actually seeing time at quarterback, he's only thrown 6 passes on the season.
Don't look for him to get any pass attempts here in this quarter either. Probably just going to strictly hand the ball off, don't get it, punt it away.
Under 6 minutes to play. BW 52, Capital 34. Henderson trying to shed a Crusader, and it just doesn't happen. 2 hard-fought yards off to the left-hand side. 3rd down coming. Baldwin Wallace checks a new face in. Off the near side, this is Kadar Robinson in for Nigel Henderson. They're down in 6. Yellow Jackets lost last week to snap a nice 3-game winning streak. Trying to get back in the winning track today. Certainly looking good. Kromalik hands to Robinson. He's tackled just shy of the 45 after picking up 3 yards. BW faces a 4th down here.
Yeah, punt this, try to get them deep into their own territory, having to drive the lane for the field with only 4:30 left while running. It basically puts this game out of reach to have to go the lane for the field 3 times. So let's see if they can execute this, though, because against John Carroll, I remember earlier they tried to, in a game where it was still in the score was still an outcome, they tried this punt to pin them deep to get the ball back, and they shanked the punt. So execution is key. You like to see that development. So let's see how he does.
Dominic Lombardi nearly had it blocked. Capital gets away from it. The ball will come to rest between the 14 and 15-yard line on the left hash. Capital, 2 timeouts left, down by 18 points with 3:58 to go. Yellow Jackets are in prime position here late in the game. And I think you got to give BW's defense a lot of credit, which sounds silly in a game in which they've scored 52 points. But it was their defense's ability to pressure Wibbler from the middle of the second quarter on. He has not been comfortable. He's been hurried or hit almost every single play. And believe it or not, Wibbler is not coming out at quarterback. Instead, it's Hayden Kotwicka. Handoff comes to the near side. It's a minimal gain.
A little surprised to see a lot of BW starters still out there on defense. I thought they'd go maybe with a couple backups, run that umbrella defense, give up the middle, just don't allow anything deep to the outside. Let them drive down the field. That's irrelevant at this point. You want that clock to run. So them driving down the field will help you, to be honest. But they're actually pressuring with starters out there still. See Washington's still out there. Fields is still out there. Nitchwich is still out there. Groff. So mostly all their starters. Interesting here with Capital's backups in.
Kotwicka keeps the football and is tackled by Sekou Amani right around the line of scrimmage. 3 minutes to play in regulation. BW 52, Cap 34. You joined us late along with Nick Rizzo. I'm Brendan Gulick. Been a fun afternoon. Lots of offensive fireworks for BW in a game that has featured 86 points. Sure has been fun.
If you left at halftime and just tuned back in now, you're going to wonder what the heck happened in this game. But key adjustments for BW on the defensive end has really led to this lead growing in the second half, and very successful at that. They've been successful at that all year, looking at their scoring and allowing scoring.
On 3rd and 6, Kotwicka sacked behind the line of scrimmage. Sekou Amani.
They've scored 2/3 of their points basically in the second half of ball games this year. So they've been a second half team all year, and it shows again today.
One of Capital's offensive linemen struggling to get off the field. It's Logan Hernan, who was able to come off at the end. All right, Hayden Kotwicka, who is the quarterback the last couple of plays, lines up to punt the football here for Capital. That's their best punt all day. Wow. Great kick. Fair catch called for at midfield. That ball went more than 50 yards through the air. Kotwicka with a great boot.
Minute 58 seconds left. You can basically take knees and this game's over if they don't use their timeouts, which I don't think they will, considering they've already put backups in. So this is about right out the clock now.
Meanwhile, if you're interested in the big game in college football being played this afternoon down I-71, Ohio State's just kicked a field goal, but they trail Penn State 14-3 late in the first quarter in a matchup with two of the top 6 teams in the country. Jordan Leverett running on first down. Around the near side, he's got enough to move the chains. And if Capital doesn't call a timeout, I would imagine one more first down could definitely do it. I don't know if you need another first down if you're BW.
You should be good, if I believe. Just my math's right. 35 seconds each time. Might be left with a few seconds left, but 18-point lead. Those couple seconds don't really matter.
Well, either way, Kromalik will still run the offense, but I imagine they'll just continue to run the football here.
Get the young guys some touches. Not always a bad idea. They're going to be your future here. So give them any experience that you can.
And the flag comes in for delay of game.
A little confusion with the backups, not knowing what's on the play clock or what position you're supposed to be in. It's bound to happen. But worst part about that is it stops the clock.
Yellow Jackets are on the door. I should say on the doorstep of 5-3. They'll go to 4-3 in the conference with a win this afternoon. This is Kadar Robinson. Gets back to the original line of scrimmage or so. Under a minute to go. Capital will drop their 7th game of the year in 8 tries. Have to imagine brighter days are on the horizon for the Crusaders, but it'll be their 6th loss in a row. Good news for Capital is they play Marietta and Heidelberg in the last 2 games of the year. And I know Marietta is starting to turn the corner a little bit, but I think that's a winnable game for Capital if Wibbler plays that well. As Leverett runs to the left this time. He runs down inside the 35, and the Yellow Jackets will not have to run another play.
Good bounce back win for the Yellow Jackets today. I was kind of worried, they still had a lot of playoff hopes with that last game. Kind of saw a lot of them leave with the loss. Worried about them maybe not showing up today. But they definitely did not do that. They showed up today. Great second half and kind of put the game where it should be.
Your final score this afternoon, Baldwin Wallace 52, Capital 34. Jake Hudson 255 yards through the air. He threw 2 touchdowns. Austin Smith ran 16 times for 131 yards and a score. Hudson also had 2 rushing touchdowns of his own. BW 29 first downs. They racked up 630 yards of total offense on 74 plays. 9 of 14 on 3rd down. They were a machine this afternoon. And Capital, even though they had a good hot start on the offensive side, they had no answer for what BW did with the football when they had it. So an impressive win for the Yellow Jackets. Again, they go to 5-3. Capital falls to 1-7. As we look across the conference, some other scores that have gone final in the OAC. Mount Union beat Otterbein 51-14. Heidelberg topped Wilmington 37-14. Marietta came back to beat Ohio Northern with 2 unanswered 4th quarter touchdowns, 35-28. How about Marietta beating a Heidelberg and Ohio Northern in back-to-back weeks? Congratulations to the Pioneers. Really happy to see that team starting to turn it around. They're 5-3. They've won 3 games in a row. And from Marietta's perspective, they go to Capital, which they probably feel like is a winnable game. And then they'll host Otterbein in the last game of the year. If Marietta goes 7-3 this year, they'll throw a parade.
Oh, absolutely. That would be a great year for them. I mean, just watching the game against us, those 2 last week's scores are very surprising. But evidently they found something they were doing good and well at, and they're sticking to it. And maybe teams are overlooking them, but they're not going to overlook them these last 2 games, that's for sure.
Marietta lost to Mount Union, BW, and John Carroll. You just kind of go back through Marietta's schedule over the years. The last time they had a good season, they were 6-4 in 2006. But in recent memory, I mean, they've had 0-10, 1-9, 2-8 seasons almost every year. Last year they showed some improvement. They went 3-7. But this Marietta team, having won 5 games now, again a 5-win team for Marietta for the first time since 2006, with a 4th quarter comeback win at Ohio Northern. Very Muskingum game over in University Heights. I think they are playing at the very tail end of that game. Last I saw, John Carroll was up 24-0, and I think that game has just gone final. So the Blue Streaks, the Pioneers, the Mount Union Purple Raiders, the Yellow Jackets, and the Student Princes, all winners in the OAC today. Nick, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I just thought that was the second half. We talked about adjustments in the first half, and BW went in and they executed those adjustments perfectly. Basically, they gave up that lead drive late in the game, kind of thought the game was over, basically, which kind of ballooned the stats a little bit. But they came in the second half. They knew what they had to do. Offensively, they were great all game. How many punts they have? One punt, I believe.
BW punted twice.
2 punts all game. If you punt twice, you're looking to win a lot of games. And they put the ball in the end zone, too. They only settled for the 1 field goal, which I thought was not even a settle. It was a good decision. Turns out it didn't matter because they kept scoring all game. But solid performance. These next 2 weeks are going to tell a lot about this team.
BW with an impressive win, 630 yards of total offense today, and they beat Capital by a final of 52-34. For Nick Rizzo, I'm Brendan Gulick. We hope you'll join us next time for our final football broadcast of the year. That comes your way next Saturday when Heidelberg comes to town for a 1:30 kickoff. Yellow Jackets end the regular season on the road at Ohio Northern, but next Saturday is senior day here at home for BW. We'll see you next Saturday. Hope you can join us later tonight, too, by the way, for our final men's soccer broadcast of the year. That comes your way at 7 o'clock with Capital here in town. Again, 52-34 your final score. Have a great day, everybody. How's it going?
All right, how are you going?
Well, not too bad. You just put it on top. We'll put it away. Thank you. I know we do the camera.
Take on Bartley to turn the opening kickoff for his house.
97 yards. Jeez. 14 nothing already. 14-3. Oh, okay.
Still in the first quarter. So.
Oh, you need the little one? Yeah, I got it.
All right, sounds good. There's only one more. Wow, good for Marietta, man.
Well, that's
I
impressive.
wonder how many yards running that kid's pretty good. So Mount Union and BW both finished 4-4-1. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I kind of want to call Lindsay and tell her she's an idiot. How is head-to-head not the tiebreaker? Oh, I see. Right. Both teams lost in Northern. Hold on, I'm looking at it here. All right. It's 4 losses in conference. Otterbein, Carroll, Capital. Not Union's 4 losses in conference. Otterbein, Carroll, Capital,
Which is
BW's losses in conference
Northern,
are
Wilmington,
Capital,
Carroll.
Northern, Wilmington, Carroll.
Well, because Wilmington's not in the playoffs. I think they went top to bottom through the
So
rankings
the fact
and
that
looked at
that we beat or that BW beat Otterbein
And Mount lost to them.
lost Otterbein, so we
Was
got
the tiebreaker.
so we got Otterbein.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, Lottie freaking.
You ready for a road trip to Columbus? We'll see. Hi, Nick.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Yep.
You feel pretty good about like how we've done the videos in the past. You
Yeah.
know how it's gonna work.
Yep.
Won't be very long. Aaron, can you have Jeff send me a picture of who should we do for player of the game? What do you think?
I like Lowry personally.
You like Lowry?
Yeah. Maybe Washington.
They're interviewing Trip for the for our thing.
I just like Lowry. He made the play of the game.
Lowry played well.
Yeah.
But we can't pick a guy that only had 30 yards running and 47 yards passing when your quarterback threw for 255 and 2 scores, and you have a running back run for about 30.
Yes, that's true.
I mean,
You
I'll
do
just
Trip
grab it for
Washington.
you.
Okay.
Is Jeff full?
You can do Trip Washington if you want him. 9 tackles, 2 picks. All right. I feel like you got like an offensive guy with 630 yards.
Yeah.
It's the closest thing we got.
All the receivers had 1 touchdown each.
You want to do like the offensive line, just as a whole?
Yeah, did we give up a sack? No. We averaged.
Hold on a second. It doesn't keep sacks on there.
Yeah, right here it does.
Where?
Sack, last column.
Oh,
So-
snap. Yeah, we didn't. Okay.
No
yeah.
sacks and
No sacks, 630 yards of. Yeah, because you can say, look, the offensive line sprung.
and we had 305 rush. Oh yeah, offensive line for sure. 305 yards rushing, no sacks.
Yeah.
What's 305 divided by 39?
That's a big offensive line gets it. Okay. All right, I'm going to have you stand up.
Yeah, what was this doing? 305 divided by 39. Average 7.8 yards a carry too. So it was.
The good news is there's no cleanup to do after this one because soccer, another game coming up. I'm bordering on really tired. At the moment, I'm only pretty tired.
This weather's not going to help you either.